Tonight's episode of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club is brought to you by Drew Estate. Come experience the rebirth of cigars at www.drewestate.com and download the free Drew Diplomat smartphone app today to discover nearby retailers, RSVP to special events, redeem points to win exclusive Drew Estate merchandise, and much, much more.
This might be a big mistake, but I'm having too much fun to wait. Flag her down when she comes back by. That one's yours and this one's mine. Bring another round. 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 Bring another round.
Here's the suckers.
Good evening, brothers and sisters of the Leaf. Coming to you live once again from, well, all over the fucking place. It's the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Tonight the boys congregate via live video. Thanks coronavirus, you giant asshole. To discuss the hilarious 2018 Com Rom masterpiece that is Destination Wedding. That's right, this movie has way more com than rom, so I switched them around. Like a boss. And, as always, they'll be reviewing a stogie, so under the TNCC microscope this evening is the brand new Mortal Coil cigar from CAO. You see, folks, Keanu Reeves' character says the words Mortal Coil in tonight's movie, so that's how that all ties together. You know, they always like the Shakespeare references whenever they can possibly add one. These guys are classy. Cigar pairing experts indeed. And, of course, the gang will also be getting nice and fucked up on some craft beers as well, so I'm sure we'll hear more about those than we ever want to. So sit back, light 'em up, and enjoy the show.
Well, boys, happy National Beer Day.
National Beer Day.
National Beer Day.
Can you believe it? It's here again already. I've been actually celebrating for several days. Weeks.
This is what's wrong with America. You shouldn't have to have a special day designated to something that you should be doing your entire life. You know, it's like, what is there, an International Happy Day? You know, doing something that you should be doing all the time, being happy, but no, they're not. So obviously people aren't drinking all the time, which they should.
Todd, I assure you that when it comes to my personal experience, I celebrate National Booze Day on way more than one day a year. I celebrate it way more than one day a week.
Never entered that as a doubt in my mind.
I rarely fail to celebrate it.
Can we tell Tud it's National Happy Day so he can quit being so mean?
Every day should be National Happy Day.
This is my happy day. Being mean to you makes me happy.
Remember, Tut, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way.
Well, we're going to drink some beers tonight because we are good Americans. And I am going to start things off by returning to the news desk this evening to kick things off because I saw something from the Metro UK website over the weekend that caught my attention. And
do I need to put my media?
No. This is someone else's media I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I like how quick you were with the media hat, though.
I'm trying to keep on my toes. You keep me on my toes.
I'm going to catch the last 5 minutes of the Yankees game. You let me know when we're ready.
Well, I'm bringing it up here because I'm still not fully vaccinated and I can't go anywhere. So it was either discuss it with you three romper room numbnuts or talk about it with my two wiener dogs. And I'm pretty sure they hate my guts by now. I've been talking to them a lot over the last year. So I'm going to bring this to you guys.
Calling us romper room numbnuts isn't going to make you well liked here for a lot longer.
Hey, it's National Happy Day. Smile.
I'm smiling for now.
The article's headline, dated Wednesday, March 24th, 2021, was this: Man's chemically enhanced penis gets stuck while having sex through bedroom door. How could I not want to talk about that, right? Hold on one second.
This from the Weekly World News. I mean,
no, this was a legitimate. This is from the Metro UK, one of the big papers in the UK. Sorry, I forgot to turn on my light here. I can see a lot better now. Follow me on this one, boys. It's fascinating. A man was rushed to the emergency room after a sex session with his girlfriend resulted in his penis getting stuck in their bedroom door. Eric and Katie, who had been together for 2 years at the time, explained that they had wanted to experiment in their love life. Trying to keep up with Katie's libido, Eric explained that he took enhancements in order to get ready for a marathon sex session. Carrying on with his do-it-yourself projects around the house, he said, I quote, I had to cut a really small hole in our bedroom door because, of course, Katie has to have vintage doorknobs. As I was looking at the new doorknob hole, I had an amazing idea. All right, right there. Don't you love that little swipe he got at Katie? Of course, she had to have vintage doorknobs. The precious vintage doorknobs. I'll continue. I was surprised by how turned on I was, Katie said. I was playing with him through the door hole, and I got so excited that I just said we should have sex right now through the door. But getting frisky through a hole in the door, perhaps unsurprisingly, started causing issues quickly, with Eric's penis swelling up and getting stuck. Maybe you should have left out that part about how tiny the hole was. I carved the tiniest of little holes for this vintage doorknob, and I was like, hey, my penis can fit in that thing.
I didn't hear that part. I missed it. I was thinking like a good old American door with a big old...
No.
It sounds like,
his quote,
good Lord.
His quote was, I had to cut a really small hole. Followed by, hey, I think I can fit my dick in there.
Oops.
Back to the article. My penis is stuck in the door hole, and I've never been in more excruciating pain in my life, Eric said. I was incredibly shocked at how large my penis had grown, and I knew I had taken way too much of the supplement. Katie was left horrified and tried helping him dislodge his penis using lubricants, including olive oil, shampoo, and butter, before eventually calling emergency services. She explained, when I saw my boyfriend's penis turning purple, I was thinking he might just lose his penis.
That's not National Happy Day right there.
She also said, I couldn't help but notice, too, what a really small hole it was that he had drilled in there.
Those vintage doorknobs are going to look great.
Dude, seriously, if I was Eric, I would have jazzed up this story like, you know, Katie's a big marine enthusiast, so I was putting in one of those submarine portholes in the door, and I looked at this enormous hole, and I'm like, hey, I think I can get my giant dick in that thing and have some fun. I think he went about the story all like completely wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Back to the article. Unfortunately, the paramedics couldn't do much as it would take hours for the erection enhancement pills to wear off, by which time he could have lost all circulation in his penis. They eventually cut around the hole, allowing them to safely get him to the hospital to remove it safely. On the whole incident, Eric admitted he was left, quote, really embarrassed. No shit, Eric. So that's all it was. Yax, did you read that? Like they had to take the door off the hinges and carry him out on a stretcher with that door still stuck to him and remove it at the hospital?
That's what you would think, but I'm going to assume if they called emergency services, if they're anything like us, you would get an ambulance, you get a fire truck. Those firemen, they're just going to come in, they're just going to cut the door. So at this point, your place for your vintage doorknobs are ruined.
Well, I was picturing him getting carried on a stretcher with this door with his dick sticking through with butter and shampoo all over the place. And then I kept thinking of Brian O'Halloran's Gil from Mallrats standing there. So did he come or what? Doctor, do you think Eric will ever get a boner again?
I really don't want to think about this and wish I didn't know about it. Sounds terrible.
Doctor, have you ever seen any medical mishaps involving vintage doorknob holes?
I have, but unfortunately, a lawsuit prevents me from really discussing it.
I understand that. They look great in your place now, by the way. They look really classy.
The vintage doorknob holes?
Yes.
I don't have the doorknob, just the doorknob hole.
The holes.
Yeah.
What a crazy
Man,
story.
I mean, thinking about it, all I can think about is he a good craftsman? Or, I mean, did he, after he finished drilling this hole, did he, I mean, actually with tools, not with his penis, did he take the time to clean?
That's what sand it out, because it's got to be full of
all I'm thinking is he's got
sharp
splinters and sawdust.
What's the line from Real Genius? Oh, can you drill a vintage doorknob with your penis?
Eric can, apparently so.
Yak Boy, I know you did something crazy like this that year. You stuck your dick in the mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving, and you're still not allowed at any Central Texas Cracker Barrels. Have any of you guys ever done anything crazy like this with your dongs? Have any of y'all done anything crazy like try to install vintage doorknobs for a chick?
That I have not done. No.
I have installed vintage doorknobs, but I did so successfully and without the use of my penis.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I had so many questions, and you guys have actually provided no answers.
But now that I hear this, I really want to start, maybe branching out and let people know that I can install vintage doorknobs so well that you'll want to stick your penis in the hole.
It's a lot to fit on a business card, and it's very specific.
Normally, I don't feel like I need to apologize to any of our audience this early in the show.
Well, how about we just go here, Doc? Welcome everybody to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, episode 135. There's just like Eric and Katie, there is love in the air tonight, boys. I hope you brought your shampoo and olive oil.
I got the butter.
Are you using butter on that ponytail? I knew it. Old Steven Seagal trick. Welcome, boys. Everybody doing okay?
Hanging in.
Hanging in? Okay.
Getting better. Lots better.
Lots better with each sip. It is National Beer Day. I was made aware of earlier. And what else are we going to do but drink some beers and have a good time? As always, we're going to pair these beers that we're drinking, which Yak Boy will fill us in on here in a minute, with a premium cigar. And we're going to pair those two beautifully, expertly, with a fine feature film, hopefully. Tonight's cigar. If you guys don't have anything, I'm going to get right to it. You guys want to talk about cigar?
Hit it.
So we can light it up. And
let's get into it.
Tonight's cigar is the Mortal Coil by CAO. It is a 6 1/8 by 50. Why are you laughing, Tut?
Did you have to watch the entire show? Or I'm curious. I will wait till we get there as to why you picked this entire show. But I just wanted. Were you forced to watch this show, and then you heard the Mortal Coil line, and then we're like, "There's a cigar named that. There we go." Or is there some weird database that you do a type, movie lines that mention Mortal Coil? Because it's very specific.
Trade secrets. I'm not going to give away the methods of my madness, of which there are many, but I will say this. I did watch this film, not looking to feature it on the show. Tonight's film is Destination Wedding, a romantic, I guess, comedy.
It's a Com Rom.
Oh, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy with we'll say Com Rom instead of rom com. That's a good call. I wasn't watching it as far as vetting movies for the show like I usually do. I was actually just watching it in my own personal time. And I've had a lot going on for the last week or so. And after I watched the movie, I actually liked it. I thought it could provide a different, some different juice for the show. We haven't done a movie like this. We've done a lot of romantic comedies, but this is definitely a unique beast. And then so I was like, there might be something there as I'm watching it. And then when one of our characters talks about his mortal coil, ding, 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 I'm like, oh, fuck. I got Mortal Coil cigars inside. We need to feature on the show at some point. It just fucking came together.
The universe aligns, international or National Beer Day happens, and it's
then
like,
it gets better.
Kismet.
I pick up my groceries, curbside groceries, which of course I don't see until I get home. I'm unloading them out of the truck, and they gave me the wrong beer. I had ordered some crazy beer, again, not for the show, just for my own personal alcoholism. And I'm doing groceries, and I see that they gave me this other beer called the One Love, and it has a lion on it. There's a lion in tonight's movie, and I'm like, it's a sign. The triangle in the stars has shown itself in the constellations.
Only idiots believe in signs.
We got to do this. So let me talk a little bit about the Mortal Coil. It's by CAO. We've featured at least one, if not two or three CAO cigars on the show.
Yeah.
Man, smell the foot of that cigar. It's got a juicy sweetness with a little bit of mint.
Yeah, the foot's got a little chewing tobacco type sweetness to it.
A little sweetness off the main wrapper too.
There's a little chocolate coming off of that main wrapper.
Chocolate, definitely.
Yeah, a little dry chocolate. It's a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Connecticut shade binder, and the filler is Dominican Andula, surrounded by Honduran Yamastran, Nicaraguan Esteli, and Dominican Piloto Cubano. I will wait till the end of the show to talk price point, and I will let you now hear what CAO has to say about this unique cigar. CAO is launching a new series called Arcana, which will highlight the secrets and traditions of old world tobacco processing methods passed down from generation to generation to bring out the best in native tobaccos from across the globe. The first release in the CAO Arcana series is called the Mortal Coil, a single cigar that resurrects Andulo, the oldest tobacco fermentation method in the Dominican Republic. Andulo tobacco is made following the time-honored methods of cultivation and curing sun-grown Habano seed wrappers instead of a traditional bulk fermentation where they lay it all on a big pallone together and let it ferment. Andulo tobacco is wrapped tightly in handcrafted palm tree pods known as yaguas that are compressed with rope coiled around the pod. This old world process of fermentation takes approximately 2 years and transforms the tobacco into rough, leathery looking leaves with an uncharacteristically thick texture and earthy sweetness, which maybe that's what we got when sniffing the fruit of the cigar. Rick Rodriguez, CAO's master blender and ambassador, has this to say. You guys hearing a beeping noise?
That's me. That's neighbor.
Can you go tell him to be quiet? Podcast business. With the Arcana series, as we did with the Amazon Basin, which we featured, I believe, last year, and we really liked, and it's Braganca leaf. That's the one that they brought down from the Amazon in the canoes and all that. Remember that? We are once again shining a light on original tobacco fermentation methods to bring excitement to fans of CAO. When it came to developing our first Arcana blend with Mortal Coil, we had the chance to go big or go home. And as we always do, we decided to go big. The Andulo leaf in the blend shows the length the team and I are willing to go to deliver a unique taste experience, and it gives us a chance to show once again that CAO is a brand that stays true to its passion for tobacco. Rick also mentioned some tasting notes, but I don't want to influence our expert individual analysis of the cigar, so I'll keep those under wraps for now. Or forever, probably, because we always get so drunk, I'll never remember to come back and compare what we got with what he said we should get. That would be interesting, though, at the end to be like, man, we got this. Here's what he said. Maybe I'll try to do that tonight. I won't get that drunk tonight. But that might be a cool thing to do some other time. It's National Beer Day. Come on. Speaking of cigars, before we move on to the beers, y'all know who makes some really good ones?
Who's that?
Doctor, who makes some really good cigars?
I don't know, but I bet you're going to tell me.
Tut?
Who is Drew Estate?
Aaron Rodgers would give you the $300. You're absolutely right. Who is Drew Estate? Well, they're our good friends, and they make great cigars. And one of the most delicious offerings in their vast portfolio is the Herrera Esteli Miami, crafted by Level 9 Cuban rollers at the famed El Titan de Bronze on Calle Ocho. The Herrera Esteli Miami line is expertly rolled with a lavish Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper of a rich Ecuadorian Sumatran binder with select fillers from the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua. The new look of Herrera Esteli Miami features a rich black and gold packaging that's available in 5 sizes. This delicious cigar is now available at Drew Diplomat retailers everywhere, so go get you some. And, while I've got your attention, I'd also like to take a moment to talk about something very cool. Cigar World. No, it's not a glorious tobacco-themed amusement park for adults, although that would be awesome.
That sounds pretty wonderful.
Dude, riding around on big old cigars. And
ride around on a Palone or Palone. And
yeah,
just
like riding around on a Palone.
Instead of the log ride, it's that canoe ride from the Amazon.
It's the canoe ride from the Amazon with the Bergamot.
Cigars of the Caribbean.
See?
Everybody's got the little cheroots. It'd be nice.
Cigar World, that's what they call the little Oompa Loompas that come out and bring you your soft drinks, the cheroots. Cheroot. All right. Cigar World is not a cool amusement park. It's something much cooler. It is an online site for cigar smokers. There you can get cigar news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Also on the site is a cigar research panel called the Testing Lab. Doctor, you like labs. You're a doctor.
I do lab.
You can sign, you put on your safety goggles, you sign up, and you give your input on new cigars by taking surveys and actually testing cigars. I think it's really cool. Check it out at cigarworld.com/testing labs. Go do it. Check out both those places, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Tut, you've lit up. Oh, God, you're both lit up. I'm falling behind. What are you guys getting?
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. One of the most unique dry inhales that I've had. It was there was a little bitterness there. It was almost like a juicy bitterness, like some sort of berry or like a weird dragon fruit type thing.
It's like I was gonna say it tastes kind of like a fruit cake.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird berry or a fruitness. I've never experienced that.
It's an incredibly flavorful cold draw. You're right. It's very sweet. There is kind of
I love the rustic look of this bad boy. I mean, it looks just filthy, dirty, rustic. I love it.
Hey, be nice.
No, that is me being nice.
I know. I'm just teasing.
It's a naughty cigar, a very naughty cigar. I like the label too. The label is very cool. It's a sharp looking presentation. It's not flat black, but it's not glossy black, and then it's got that nice copper foil. But yeah, on the light up, I got blasted with mineral, which is a really kind of, a lot of people, they're like, ooh, here goes.
Through the nose?
No, just straight off for me, it was straight off the draw. And a lot of people, they're going to hit you with a spice or whatnot. But yeah, it's been a while since I've tasted just a heavy mineral right from the outset.
There's earth and mineral on that draw. I did get a nice little pepper through the nose. We'll see if that lasts. Everything he said, you copacetic with yet?
Oh yeah, just the aroma off the wrapper before lighting up. I mean, just very chocolatey, cold draw. I mean, I got some kind of a grass, almost like a hay bale almost.
Okay.
I was laughing. How long have we done this show? 6 years or something? It feels like 12. And I was struggling to say cold draw. I was like dry inhale and all this stuff. And I was like,
you called it the dry something. I was like,
what the hell is that?
Yeah, I thought about making fun of you. I didn't.
It's been a long, long week.
It certainly has, but thank God it's finally National Beer Day. We should have a National Beer Day every week.
Some of us do.
I was about to say, a lot of us do.
Some of us have 2 or 3 a week.
Some of us have National Beer Week every week. Okay, boy, you didn't mention it. I mean, there's a really nice tingling spice there through the nose. That when you out your nose, Tut, that's called a retrohale when you blow the smoke out your nose.
An outward hail?
An outward hail. An outward nose hail.
Yeah,
Also
you're
called
right. There is a nice little tingly there.
Also called a smoky nostril sneeze. This thing is smoking like a log. Okay. Earth, mineral, lots of spice. I'm surprised I'm not getting any sweetness. As sweet as that cold draw was, and as sweet as the wrapper smell, I'm not getting any spice out of this, or any sweetness out of this thing. Are you?
Okay.
You're drinking wine on National Beer Day, you freak?
One, just to be obstinate. Two, it fits very well with our theme. Don't worry, I got my beer right here.
You can drink wine.
That's good. That's good.
I got wine. Maybe I'll pour me a glass.
Yeah, get you a nice cab, a dry
Oh,
cab.
Let me go down.
You two nose hails can't start changing the rules.
I'm sorry. What, a dry cab, Tut? Let me go down to my wine cellar. I got a $10 bottle of Target wine down here. It says maybe.
Doctor knows what I'm talking about.
Maybe from California. It's got a little guy shrugging on the label.
I understand a good dry cab.
Wine-like product.
I do like a dry cab. I like a dry Pinot even more. But I will say this: as big a fan I am of dry Pinots, dry cabs I find pair much more with far more cigars. You can't go wrong with a dry cab and cigars for the most part.
I'm just like that. You've got that sweetness of the cigar, but you also got like a blackberry or a dark cherry type coming off of the cab mixture. Man,
yeah,
I don't know if I want to go to my beer tonight or not.
I was getting those berries off of the cold draw. I'm not getting any sweetness off the cigar. You yet?
Dude,
No.
throw some wine in there.
You're drinking wine. It's sweet. I'm getting fermented grapes in the cigar. All right, we'll move on from this. Although, like I said, dude, since we're apart and we're all drinking different shit, I encourage everybody, if you see a bottle of hooch that you think would be good for the night, if you see a bottle of wine, there's no rules anymore. We can do whatever we want.
Well, I was just doing that for a joke, but that was a happy accident.
An accident that wine goes with cigars? That's like 3 nights a week I do that. That's science, baby. Right, doctor?
I don't even know why I try. It's useless to try.
All right, before I get to this film, Yak Boy, for those of us real men who are drinking beers, we'd like you to tell the audience a little bit something about him. Why don't you start? You're a real man. Why don't you start with yourself, pal? Hey, you own a pub. You're doing more for National Beer Day. I bet you got a bunch of specials running tonight, going out in the community, going on news channels, talking about National Beer Day. I bet you've been all over the place today. Am I right?
Yes, I have. That's exactly what I've been doing. As opposed to simply opening my doors and allowing people to come in and try the many wonderful beers.
Do you have a Bud Light?
I'm going to kill you.
You, sir, are a true ambassador for the industry. Start with yourself, Yaks, for once.
I will. I am having this evening from the Lagunitas Brewing Company, the Hazy Memory IPA.
Okay.
Of course, the tie-in for the film being that Lagunitas is located in wonderful Petaluma, California. And our film this evening takes place in California as well. San Luis Obispo.
It's a stretch. If you'd gotten a beer from San Luis Obispo or whatever the hell.
They didn't have any. I looked.
What about or Pablo Robles or wherever they're?
Paso Robles.
Paso Robles.
But if anyone is curious, Petaluma is only 4.5 hours away from the filming location.
You could have lied.
So if you wanted to go and grab some delicious hazy memory and travel down the 101, you could do so.
You could have just lied and said they're in sister cities, and we would have been like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
It's California. Everything is just literally hours and hours away from each other.
It's true. Okay, is it good?
It is very good. I am liking it. The Hazy Memory, it is an IPA. It's rolling in around 8% ABV, about 55 IBUs, and I'd say that fits perfectly. I mean, it does. While it is made with a generous amount of hops, a Laurel 241, Hallertau Blanc, Galaxy, and Citra.
That Laurel, don't sleep on that Laurel 241 hop. That's good stuff.
It is. Which, of course, Lagunitas started back in '93. They've been there and have been producing many, many fine beers, which we have also sampled on several other episodes. Of course, one of our favorites, episode 29, Little Something Something.
Oh, Color of Night.
Color of Night. Oh!
Whoa!
I do like that beer. They got a lot of beers I like, actually.
Yeah, and there's also one that they always have at the airports that we drink a lot, isn't there? No, I'm thinking of
Axis?
Goose Island.
Oh, Goose Island, yeah.
Well, we also did their
Arrogant
double,
Bastard.
their Imperial IPA on episode 45. The Lagunitas sucks.
What movie was that we did that with?
Oh,
Probably a vampire movie.
I believe it was.
Oh, I was thinking Stone Brewery there for a second. No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Is it pairing well with the cigar?
So far, so good. Like I said, that fact that it's sort of middle of the road on its bitterness is not interfering. And the hazy, I'm liking that just because it gives that IPA that little different flavor. And of course, this one does, of course, with all the hops, especially with the Citra and the Galaxy, it does give that citrus, that floral component really bumps that up a lot. So I'm liking that with the cigar.
Okay. Well, let's kick it sideways over to the doctor, see what he's got for us tonight.
The good doctor is from Bell's Brewery.
Bell's again.
Stock, Michigan. He is drinking the Bright White. It's a wheat beer. It's done in a Belgian style. It's a 5%, 21 IBUs. And of course, we have done Bell's many times.
I think Doctor had a Bell's last week.
I did.
Yes, he had the Lager of the Lakes, in which we'd also mentioned we'd had done that one as well on episode 103 with our.
Damn you, Yaks! You had to say it again.
But we, of course, also have done it on 2 other episodes.
Oh, that horrible Bell's Porter! I hate that beer.
Yes, the porter, and we also did the Two-Hearted Ale.
Don't remember that one.
I like Doctor's tie-in, though. You got bells, as in wedding bells. This is what I'm assuming your tie-in is the bells as in wedding bells. But you also got Bright White as a tribute to our
cast.
Our female stars' alabaster skin.
Well, Todd, I appreciate that, but I'm not going to bullshit you guys. The truth of the matter is that Comstock, Michigan is the sister city of San Luis Obispo, California.
That's awesome. Hey. That's awesome.
Awesome, Doc. Good work. Good work, my man.
Those numb fuckers bought it.
But he thinks we bought it.
I mean, the fact you found a beer.
I think he fell for it.
The fact that you found a beer from the city where our film was shot is incredible. But to Tut's credit, this movie does have nothing but white people in it.
There is no tie-in for the record for anyone out there. It looked interesting. I enjoyed my last bells, and so I picked up a 6er of it. No tie-in this time for me.
I'm gonna go with wedding bells. Good. There you go, Tut. You did better for him than you did for yourself tonight.
All I did was resort to honesty.
No, hit my beer. I'm proud of this pairing.
All right, go for it. Assuming he's ever going to crack one open.
What are you talking about?
Oh, there it is.
That looks like orange juice.
It sure does.
He's drinking a screwdriver.
That's getting fucked up tonight.
Fucked up tonight. I like it. I respect that. It's like that time. It's like that time we marched into that poor Chili's in whatever the fucking city in Kentucky that was, and we sat down, and that poor waitress was like, "What can I get for you guys?" And we're like, "We're gonna be here for about the next 5 hours drinking Long Island's." And she was like, "All right, fuck, like why, why me, why?" Thank you, ma'am. We're actually planning on getting incredibly fucked up until the sun goes down.
How are your cheese curds?
Well, we got cheese sticks. It's gonna be a long night.
It's Kentucky, sir.
Tell us about Tuttle's beer, yes.
Tuttle's beer, of course, is from Red Horn Coffee House and Brewery. He is drinking their hazy IPA, the Man Cheetah. Man Cheetah? Cheetah Man? Man Cheetah.
Was it Man Cheetah killed by Scourge in the Captain America comics, or was that Man Cheetah 4?
It was Man Cheetah 2.
Man Cheetah 2. He is a B-level supervillain.
The Man Cheetah is rolling in at almost 7%, 6.8%, 60 IBUs. They too bring in some Citron Galaxy hops and some Eldorado. Their hazy concoction. Red Horn, of course, wonderful there in.
That is Tut's hometown brewer. We very rarely see Tut go for the IPAs.
Yeah, they're about to open a second location, by the way. Not only have they survived the pandemic, they have found a way to thrive.
It's opening in Tut's backyard. They thought he'd save him the trip.
I pitched that. They said it was a bad business model.
You're just going to be sitting back there drinking with the raccoons?
Yeah. Me and the possum, Jeb, just going to chow down.
You don't tend to really groove on IPAs.
No, but there was a scene in there where they talk about a cheetah. And I was looking through I always start here lately. I tried to start with the Red Horn, and I saw the Man Cheetah on the list, and I was like,
yeah.
All right, Man Cheetah, that sounds good. Hazy IPA. All right, well, they haven't led me astray, so come on, we'll try this. And yeah, like Yax was saying, that citrus and the Citra and the Galaxy hops really brings out the citrus flavor. That first hit was almost like orange juice, but then it settled down a little bit. I'm a little disappointed. I think they need to up the IBUs. It's sitting at 60, and the way this thing looks, and with that bright citrus on the front end, I was expecting a little bit more bitter on the back end. But one of the things that they sell this as is that it's an easy drinking IPA. You could literally pound it. This is a boot of Remembrance IPA because it is easy drinking. It's a little bit bitter from the citrus, but not bitter from the hops.
What was the ABV on that?
The Man Cheetah was 6.8.
Yeah, it's a good boot beer.
Yeah,
hazies tend to be on the smoother side as far as if I'm going to do a boot of IPA, I'd go hazy.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm actually sitting there. Not only is it an IPA, but I'm kind of pooing on it for not being more IPA.
You are just you're a hard guy to figure out sometimes, Ted. And by sometimes I mean all the time.
Like our hero tonight.
No, he's pretty straightforward. You kind of know where he is at all times. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, that leaves one beer. And dude, I busted on yours. Like, Ted, it looks like you're drinking orange juice. It literally looks just like my beer. What am I drinking, Yak Boy?
From the Spindle Tap Brewing, their One Love Imperial IPA. Spindle Tap started back in 2015. Got their name from the Spindle Top oil field located in Beaumont, Texas.
Yep.
Spindle Tap is located in Houston proper. The One Love, it's 8% ABV. I could not find anything on the IBUs.
I'd put them about. I mean, they're 60s.
Okay.
The citrus is very prominent on the nose. Very citrusy aroma. Oranges, grapefruit. It's not that. It's actually more floral and not as much citrus as I was. It's just a really cloudy, dense beer. I read where it was a double New England style IPA, which got me worried because I don't tend to like New England style IPAs, but it's actually really smooth. I mean, I'm like with Tud. I wish it had some more bite because I think the cigar could handle something with some bite to it. But I mean, if an 8% double IPA doesn't give me bite, I give up. I mean, like, why am I even doing this anymore? I'll see you guys later.
Hey, X, what's a Imperial IPA? I'm used to Imperial Stout, but what's the Imperial IPA thing?
Usually at time of the amount of hops used and typically a higher ABV.
Okay.
But like I said, I mean, his is considered an Imperial. Mine is not, but they have the exact same ABV.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is the amount of hops typically.
The only thing I can attribute that to, it's very dense. It's a very heavy swallow.
Yeah.
Shut up, doctor. It's just a very thick, viscous beer.
Making it worse and worse.
I wish there was more
the cigar.
I wish there was more hot bite because I can't stress enough that this cigar could take on, I think, kind of any dude. The earth and the mineral is dynamite on the draw. The mineral's coming through on the nose, but I mean, it's starting to smoke like a traditional kind of Connecticut broadleaf. I mean, this thing has some strength to it, and the flavors are solid. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're about the same level. Is there a toast type thing that's kind of approaching on the draw? There's a dryness on that draw that I'm starting to really like.
It's the earth and mineral is kicked back. It is a little bit dry, which is funny because the cold draw enters the thing smelling is gonna be juicy.
It's like juicy, like chewing tobacco. That's weird.
And yeah, there is kind of a dry cracker kind of thing going on there under the earth and the mineral. And then, unfortunately, I wish that pepper had stuck around longer in the nose. Maybe I'm just wishing for the bite that I didn't get in my beard. I wish I had something strong going on the nose draw or whatever you called it. On the
dry hail. I mean,
on the dry nose. But yeah, I'll get back to the cigar in a little bit. Construction has been good. The ash is a little flaking, but it hasn't dropped yet. But draw has been fine. And it seems like it
was weird. I had like an interesting little knot hole on the wrapper. It literally looked like a knot hole on your deck in the wrapper. And normally people would be like, oh, that's a visual imperfection, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, look at this rustic bastard. To me, it enhanced the appeal of it.
Yeah. Hey, don't show those knot holes on your deck to Eric. He'll stick his dick in them.
Only if it was made for a vintage doorknob.
Only if you're planning on installing a vintage doorknob. No, it is rustic as hell. But I mean, that's part of the Yagua process of aging tobaccos. One of our sponsors, JC Newman, actually put out a cigar called the Yagua last year, which when you open the box, it was actually still wrapped in that palm leaf and tied around. It was one of the most impressive things. And because they bundled the cigars and then tie them like that, no two were the same shape. You had like diamond shaped cigars. You had like flat cigars. Like it was really kind of a cool presentation.
That toast is coming off of it's almost of the retrohale. It's like the back upper part of the retrohale coming through.
You just said it was off the draw.
I know, that's what I thought, and I was wrong.
I'm getting a little bit of dryness on the back of the draw, so we'll just split in the middle. It's somewhere. There's some Ritz crackers coming from somewhere.
Okay,
maybe saltines.
It's interesting. I like it.
Saltines. Okay, yeah, I'm digging it too. It's interesting. Well, boys, there's a third component to what we do here every other week. It is the film. And yes, this is a film unlike any other we've done on the show before. I was trying to think of romantic comedies that we've done.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me Love was the only one I could really. Pretty in Pink's not a comedy.
Some of the spring break type, some of the spring break type movies, had a love theme, but those aren't really.
Those are party
rom-coms. Yeah, they're party movies. Yeah,
I think what Can't Buy Me Love is just. I would call that an '80s movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I always thought of it as a romantic comedy,
Yeah.
unlike Pretty in Pink, which I just thought of an '80s.
Just a teen angst.
It didn't have any comedy in it, except for Dice.
Oh, the dad? Come on.
Dude, drunk Harry Dean Stanton, we found funny. Audiences in '80s, they're supposed to feel sorry for that alky.
Oh man, drunk Harry Dean Stanton was the best part of it.
Man, the laughs at when he's talking about his wife that left him and living the last 30 years in the bottom of a Budweiser can.
I just laughed and laughed and
Man, that
laughed.
was good stuff. Yeah, no, that's just us. Nobody else was laughing at that.
Oh, okay.
Spader's linen pantsuit was.
Oh, Spader! I mean, come on, that was like an entire show of Doc's Spader impersonation.
No, Doc was funny. He made that funny. Good job, Doc.
Thank you. I try.
Well, here we are trying something new. Look at us. We're not resting on our laurels, if you will. The film we're talking about tonight is from 2018. It's called Destination Wedding. The film is written and directed by a man named Victor Levin.
I think it's Levin.
I've heard it, Levine.
Mr. Levin was born in 1961 in New York. He had a traditional upbringing in the suburbs, and he attended Amherst College. Doctor, is that a good school?
Yes, it's in Massachusetts.
I couldn't find any info on whether he was ever married.
I had a cousin who went there, actually. Sorry.
Oh, did
I
you?
was wondering. I was like, damn, Doc pulled that like right out, boom, like a split.
No, Doctor knows his universities. He's my go-to guy for college stuff. I couldn't find any information whether he was ever married, which is doubtful after watching this movie, or whether he had committed suicide over the last 3 years since this movie was made,
Which is probable after.
Which is very probable after watching this movie. Or maybe, guys, just maybe, possibly, he's just a very creative dude who can write material outside of his own personal experiences. I mean, George Lucas never met a Wookiee or a fucking Jawa before he wrote Star Wars. It's possible. Anything's possible.
Maybe he dropped
Didn't he?
I was about to say it was the 70s. They were out there in California. I mean, who knows? He might have actually met those Wookiees and
Jawas left and right. Man. Who knows?
He's out there with the peyote in a nice little commune circle, banging the drums.
All of a sudden, here comes Greedo. You know?
I believe he was dropping acid in St. Louis Obispo, which is where tonight's movie takes place.
Or it's Sister City, Comstock, Michigan.
There you go. The official log line for Destination Wedding is this. The story of two miserable and unpleasant wedding guests, Lindsay and Frank, who develop a mutual affection despite themselves. It kind of fits. It's hard to sum this movie up in one sentence and get people to want to watch it.
Yeah.
The only way you're getting people to watch this movie is Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder on the poster.
I was about to say two miserable assholes, but it has Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, so give it a chance.
Unless you wanted to be disingenuous and sell it as a Hallmark movie plot and just say two single people with
two lost souls. Two lost souls.
People, lost souls with professional careers and various personal problems, have their paths collide at a destination wedding in the California wine country. Now that would be very disingenuous, but it's ripped right from a Hallmark movie.
I don't think that's
It
disingenuous
does
at
take
all.
place in wine country. Romance written all over it.
I'm going to real quick before we get in the movie, I'm going to give my first complaint on the cigar. I'm burning close to the band, and I can't tell where the band stops and starts, and it won't slide off. I can't tell how to.
I just tore it. I literally sat there for 5 minutes while y'all were talking. Like I'm gonna get
such
this.
a big band, and I can't see any seams. I'm like, shit. I got to get this thing
It's
off.
seamless.
It is seamless. Unlike our production here at the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. All right, I'm going to try to slide it.
Just rip it. Tear it.
I sound like Eric in that door hole. I'm just gonna try to slide it out.
Get some olive oil.
Get some shampoo.
It's not coming out.
I'm getting notes of Prel. All right, I'm gonna just rip it, I guess, man. I can't figure out how to.
Little Selsun blue on the nose hail.
Takes any more tingles, that means it's working.
It's working.
I can't even figure out how to rip. Oh, I guess it just rips like a. That's not
No
good.
shit, Cade. Your head's on fire.
Ah! I will say that the One Love IPA is actually pairing well with this beer. I'm actually okay that it's not kicking me with a lot of bitterness. It's complimenting, man. The sweetness I was looking for in the cigar from the cold draw, the beer's actually giving it to me. And it's letting me enjoy that earthiness and the mineral. And that's right. There is a kind of a dry breadiness on the back end. So far so good. Okay. Are you guys ready to get into Destination Wedding or what?
Oh, please do.
We start things off with Frank, played by the one and only Keanu Reeves, sitting on his bed at home in his underpants with his finger in his ear, making loud, phlegmy, throat-clearing noises. His partially packed suitcase lies on the bed next to him. Across town, fellow weirdo Lindsay, played by Winona Ryder, is all packed up for a trip as she tries to blow some fresh oxygen into a dying houseplant before she heads off for the weekend.
Blow some carbon dioxide, actually.
But plant is dead.
Those two little moments give us all we need to know. They're both a couple of weirdos.
They are neurotic.
We cut to the airport where these two characters find themselves standing next to each other in the departure terminal while waiting for their flight. They make extremely uncomfortable small talk, which quickly turns ugly when Frank has had enough of Lindsay's rambling weirdness, and he tries to distance himself from her by taking a step forward. She calls him out for stepping in front of her, establishing his male bullshit dominance, and Frank quickly but calmly cuts her off. Here's what happened. I came to my gate hoping that my flight was on time. I then attempted to start a pleasant conversation, whereupon you revealed the tip of the iceberg of your tendencies, and I was forced to step forward to escape the vortex. You know what? Okay, that's crazy, she says. If I'm wrong, just stepping back at me instead of in front of me. No, he says, because that would mean going past you again.
Dude, it's not a bad impersonation, first of all. And
he kind of does a Rod Serling Twilight Zone delivery in this thing.
Yeah, he actually does. But I was like, from this moment on, I was like, all right, I'm willing to see where this goes. I was like, I don't know anything else about this movie, but just that right there, just the funniness of him taking just one step forward, and Winona's delivery of her exasperated look.
I'm going to take it one step further, Chad. Just seeing Keanu Reeves with his little roller suitcase, wearing a blazer and jeans, and like trying to look like a normal person, I find that fascinating. Like, I like to watch this dude. He's great in all the other stuff, but something about him just trying to be a normal dude fascinates me. And yeah, I'm with you. I was at this point, I'm like, all right, we'll see where this goes.
That's a key point. I just want to add on to that's phenomenal, because not only are we just used to him being John Wick from the last 10 years, but The Matrix, we go back to Point Break,
Constantine,
Speed.
Even Bill and Ted 30 years ago when he's a much younger man, although he doesn't look like he's any older than about 30 something in this.
Yeah.
So I just, and this I'm going to keep coming back to this throughout. I'll just say, first off, I'm a fan of the movie. That you said it earlier, Kate, so I have no reason to wait till the end. I thought at the beginning in this scene in the airport was probably the pinnacle of this.
Stilted dialogue?
Stilted Kevin Smith dialogue, where people don't really talk like this and it's too cool for school, but because they are so gifted as performers, it rises it to this could have been a bad movie in the hands of two other people, but because this movie is all about them, they make it work.
We're gonna get into that a lot, Docker. I'm gonna bring up Kevin Smith a little bit later, because you're right. And there are some things in this movie, a movie that's just filled with so much talking, that kind of miss the mark and are kind of like no two people would talk like this. But the bulk of it is completely saved, like you said, because of the casting in this film.
The two of them are phenomenal. Yeah.
But, we're going to talk more about that. Great point. Lindsay goes off on Frank some more, comparing his behavior to a corrupt politician, a greedy banker, even a terrorist, all for just kind of getting away from her. In each, like I said, in each of the the scenes tonight, there's just an enormous amount of dialogue, more dialogue than we've ever had in a movie here on the show. And I can't believe for that much dialogue, how much clever shit is in there. Like the ratio is impressive, what works and what doesn't work. A title card pops up, Destination Wedding, the title of the film, or its alternate title, A Narcissist Can't Die Because Then the Entire World Would End. The tiny plane that Frank and Lindsay are on only has 8 seats. So, of course, this is a romantic comedy. They're forced to sit together. Frank easily rips open his package of complimentary pretzels, while Lindsay struggles mightily with hers, until finally, annoyed by all the crinkling, he demands that she let him open it for her. You have to tear it at the notch, he explains. There is no notch, she says. And then we watch for what seems like 5 fucking minutes as Keanu Reeves wrestles with this bag of pretzels. There does not appear to be a working notch, he says, before tearing the package open with his mouth and spitting out the wrapper. Dude, this is what I'm talking about. Any other actor, I don't know. I loved seeing Keanu Reeves trying to open a bag of pretzels for 5 minutes. It was fascinating.
It seems like a simple gag, but again, the two of them, that was one of my favorite bits in the movie. And there's a lot to come, but I love that bit. And it just seems like a simple gag.
I just love seeing him do normal shit. And when normal shit gets frustrating, it's even funnier. Like I was rolling, man. It was so
fun. This is what I like about this. The first 15 minutes of this film is it sets these characters. You know everything about these people.
You don't even have to
at the wedding yet,
and they haven't even told you backstories or anything like that. And you definitely.
But you have the tone of these characters.
And to the film's credit, where most rom-coms you watch the characters transform over the course of a romance, they stay these two characters throughout the entire fucking film. But we'll get to that later. And I'm with Doctor. I love him in John Wick. I love him in Speed. I love Point Break's one of my favorite action movies of all time. But I thought casting him here, because the natural thing is, all right, look at the script. We got to get Steve Carell or Owen Wilson in this thing. That makes sense for this movie. I just thought casting him was brilliant, and him taking the gig was a great. And same goes for Winona Ryder. Like her unique quirks and her tendencies to go big and exaggerated with her face and her words. It totally fits this character. And if you had put Tina Fey or Amy Poehler in there, which again, that's what Hollywood likes to do, throw them in there with Owen Wilson and Steve Carell, this movie would have sucked enormous ass.
I don't know. I think that's doing a disservice to Amy Poehler. I actually think she's very talented.
No.
But I don't think that she would have delivered what Winona brought to this.
I'm not saying she's not talented. I'm just saying this is one of those movies where casting is everything.
Yeah. And am I different that I wasn't a big Keanu fan throughout his entire career? Like I loved him in Bill and Ted because I was the right age at the right time. But then like I just found him plastic in Speed, but I loved Speed. I thought Speed was a great movie. The Matrix, which I love The Matrix. I don't have a problem with Matrix 2 except for the rave scene. I don't even have a problem with Matrix 3. I love that whole thing, but I thought that it was a great, phenomenal movie despite Keanu, as opposed to Keanu making that a great, phenomenal movie. Constantine I actually liked. I thought he did okay there. But I've never been that big of a Keanu fan, and then I was late to the John Wick game because I absolutely loathe this guy as an actor. I used to call him Keanu Suck. I was just not on board at all.
Hey, that's harsh.
It was very harsh, and I'm kind of ashamed at the amount of crap that I gave him, and the only solace that I take is that, one, he never heard me because I am here and he is who he is. But following him on social media, my friends would be talking about, oh, did you see Keanu do this? Did you see Keanu say this? And I was like, dude, there's actually some context to this guy. Maybe I need to shut my mouth and give him a second chance.
By all accounts, he's a genuinely super good guy.
And I started watching him again.
Horseshit social media, but I've always thought he was. I've always thought he was very underrated as an actor.
Actually, Doctor, to your point right there, I actually think Tut was just saying the things he heard. I don't believe Keanu Reeves is on any social media.
No, I just meant comments on social media.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
I'm the opposite of where Tut's coming from. I've always thought he was. I thought he was actually treated harshly sometimes by critics.
yeah. I've always loved him. I love Johnny.
I thought he was
Oh,
unfair.
I did like Johnny Mnemonic. I take that back. I did like Johnny Mnemonic. I even watched that here recently. But he was still a little plastic in it. I mean, he was.
Man, you know what?
No, I'm going to put that in the film. That's another film that I liked for the film, but not because of Johnny or not because of Keanu.
I have never seen him do anything like this before, which I think Kate has already alluded to.
Yeah.
But I've always liked him. I've always been a fan of the guy's body of work, going back 3 decades. I think there's been a lot of different types of roles. Even though it's a movie that can at times make you cringe, I thought he was good and there's a guilty pleasure in The Replacements, the football movie.
That's a huge guilty pleasure for me as well.
There's some things.
Touch just listed 20 Keanu Reeves movies he likes.
But it's kind of like
I'm a fan.
I don't know. I like the movies. I always underrated him as an actor, and now I mean this is my way of saying Keanu, I'm wrong. You're a fabulous, phenomenal actor, and I want to see you do more of this stuff. Not too much because I don't want you to oversaturate the market. But I love what you did here, and you're pretty damn brilliant in it.
All right, well, let me just say that I think we can agree these two performers make this movie, along with an excellent screenplay. And without them, there's no way we'd be talking about it on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Agree?
Agreed.
As they continue to fly, Frank says, I hope Paso Robles is a big place. They fight over whether it's Paso Robles or Paso Robles. It's not, Lindsay says. Well, if I see you at a restaurant, I'm going to go to a different restaurant. I'm not going to be at any restaurants, she says. Why, are you checking into a mental institution? No, I'm going to the most presumptuous of all things, a destination wedding. That's right, boys. It turns out that they're both going to San Luis Obispo, California, or more specifically, Paso Robles, California, as he calls it. I think it is Robles.
I think he's right. I think that's how they pronounce it, though.
Wait for it, the very same destination wedding. You see, Frank is the brother of the groom, named Keith, and Lindsay is Keith's former fiance. Uh-oh.
Half brother, right?
Half brother, correct.
Why in the world?
But either way, Doc, you gotta agree.
Ex-fiance to the wedding.
With these ingredients, Doc, it's going to be a long weekend. What is a destination wedding? Have y'all ever been to one?
Yes, a destination wedding is where the wonderful couple decides that their wedding, their moment of matrimony and the exhibition of their bliss is deserving enough to pack all of their relatives and friends, fly them across the fucking country on their friends and family's dime to get to this wonderful, wonderful deal, be crowded with people that some you might like, but let's face it, some you don't, and then you have to do stupid shtick and stupid events, and then you're stuck there. It's a wonderful, wonderful event.
So you've been to one. Have you guys ever been to one?
No.
I have technically never been.
We've all traveled far to weddings because their weddings are far from us. But have you ever been to a wedding where like they got married far away from where they live, and it's like
no. But technically, if you have to travel somewhere for an entire weekend, it's kind of the same thing almost. But yeah, it's not the same as.
Well, no, it elicits the same bitterness in your heart.
Yeah, it's not the same as like. Hey, I'm getting married. I'm flying to Hawaii. I'm inviting all of you guys to open your wallets and fly there too. No, it's not the same.
Yeah, I actually got invited to a wedding in Mexico a couple of years ago, and it was.
It's different if they live in Mexico. You fly down and you see your friends, or you support your friends. But then when they're like, "Hey, guess what? Hey, I'm getting married. Are you going to come?" And then you're like, "Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it's in Mexico."
If I was asked to be in the wedding, maybe I'd consider it. That's always an honor to, like, hey, we want you to be an usher in the wedding in Mexico. I'd be like, all right, well, maybe there's something there. But yeah, it seems like a lot to ask people, but that's part of what makes this movie what it is.
So a question for Tut. So at a destination wedding, is that a normal feature of it? Is that it's not just we're flying to this other destination? Like, for example, let's say I use that. If I were getting married, you all would just drive here. But if I say, hey guys, I'm getting married in Hawaii or the California wine country,
that is a destination wedding.
I understand that part of it, but you mentioned something. Is it typically a common part of a destination wedding that it's not just the wedding there, that there's like a weekend of activities planned as part of it as well?
Oh, yeah.
In our case, yes.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. They do that here?
Yes, I actually, Doctor, I did go to a destination wedding. It wasn't that big a deal. It was a friend of mine from Ohio who had a destination wedding in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Fortunately, I was living in Florida at the time, so it was a quick. I could get there. It wasn't a big deal. But if I'd lived in Ohio, it would have been a big deal. But dude, from the minute we landed, just like this movie, there was an itinerary.
Okay.
Breakfast, these activities. This rang very true to me. Yes.
Okay, I understood what a destination wedding was. I wasn't familiar that it was that kind of thing where it was like a whole weekend of activities.
I think they try to make it worth your while. Like, hey, you guys came here to share this day with us. We're going to treat you. You don't have to think anything. We've got it all figured out, and it's all gonna suck.
So if you're one of us and you're like, okay, I'm gonna skip all that stuff and I'll just be at the hotel bar drinking until the wedding, you're gonna be looked at as kind of a sourpuss.
I was, I was looked at.
You did that.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
By them and my wife, she was like, she really wanted to do those activities. And,
you know what? I've learned something here tonight, and that's what we're about here, boys. Learning stuff.
That's what we do. Real quick, before we really get into Frank and Lindsay. We mentioned the first thing you mentioned on the cigar tut was mineral. Mm-hmm. And that mineral is so dominant now on both the draw and the nose. It's completely flooded out the pepper on the nose. It's a warm, crisp mineral through the nose. And it's a mineral that complements the earthiness and that breadiness on the draw so good. The mineral, to me, is the star of the show. I'm at the end of the first third.
Wow, you're actually going through this faster than I am.
It's a slow smoking cigar, actually.
Oh, wait, no, I think we're in about the same spot, maybe.
I'm trying to nurse it.
But it's really fucking tasty. Are you guys enjoying it? I'm really enjoying it.
I am, but
that's mineral, and I'm getting right now. I'm getting a lot. It's picking up a lot of a chocolate note right through here in the middle. So I'm liking that.
Oh, I'll keep my feelers out for that.
And that's funny because, all right, so Cade's on Team Mineral, Yax is on Team Chocolate. I'm all about Team Toast. I am just hanging on that toast note. I really, for some reason, have latched onto it, and I'm loving it.
Okay. Well, that's why there's 3 of us smoking. And as soon as we're all vaccinated, 4 of us smoking. Am I right, Doctor?
Yes, sir. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm fascinated with this concept. So,
yeah.
So let's just considering where we all live, right? Does it count? Well, it would still count. Would you consider it a destination wedding if, let's say, I was getting married and said, "Hey, we're gonna do this on the beach in Corpus Christi," where you could actually drive to it, or is that still?
I still call that a destination wedding.
No. I think if you stay in your home state, well, no, because they're all from California.
Yeah, I'm like, if you,
because you don't live there, you don't live in Corpus. If the bride and groom are also traveling for the wedding, it makes it a destination wedding.
How about this? If it requires you to take an airplane.
Okay, I'll go with that. But caveat, brother, if you tell me that you're getting married in Ireland, I'm flying to Ireland. I'll make fun of the destination wedding a little bit, but I'm flying to Ireland.
Well, the concept of me getting married is a fantasy in itself, so I understand that. I appreciate it.
Dude, that sounds like something Keanu would say in this movie. The concept of you being married is a fantasy. Why don't we continue to talk about leprechauns and things with much more realistic significance? No, but Yak Boy, you and I went to a wedding in.
Touché, you son of a bitch.
Yak Boy, you and I went to a wedding at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, but the couple was from New Orleans. That's not a destination.
That's
wedding.
not a destination.
No, it isn't because the bride and the groom live there.
Correct.
Everyone else had to fly there, but it was not a destination wedding.
But if they had gone to someplace like Shreveport or someplace in northern Louisiana, that would have been a destination wedding because they themselves don't live there.
Correct. Okay. Doctor, does that answer your queries?
Yes, it does. I think there might be a
tiny
proximity.
Yes, I'm gonna cling to that tiny proximity because technically our wedding venue was in a town that was about 30 minutes away. So technically we did not live there, but it was only 30 minutes away from us.
No. I mean, no. Well, I was living
like Doctor said, you have to have a proximity.
I was living in Florida when I got married, and we held our ceremony in a small town in Texas where I actually ended up living right now. But none of us lived there at the time. But it was all within a few hours of our hometown, and no, of course not. That's
another thing. Like, all right, so what if you live in Austin, but you're a huge fan of New Orleans and you've loved New Orleans forever, and everybody in your family knows that you've loved New Orleans.
That's a destination
wedding. And then
wedding.
you get married in New Orleans.
That's a destination wedding.
And then 2 years later, you move to New Orleans.
No. So would you be more inclined? Would you be more inclined, and obviously cost is going to factor into this, but would you be more inclined if somebody were getting married, let's say that lived in Texas, and they said, hey, we're having a destination wedding. We're going to go to the California wine country, but it ain't no activities. Here's 2 drink tickets at such and such restaurant to get. You're on your own till the wedding on Saturday. You guys explore wine country and do what you want. No activities. This is just where we want to get married.
Would I be more inclined? Would I be more inclined to be like, okay, so $2,000 in plane tickets and hotels, but I get 2 drink tickets?
I was just throwing that out. I don't understand.
No, that's a destination. No,
I know it still qualifies.
No, I'm saying if it's a destination wedding and they're close, they're close friends or something, Uncle Jason's going to show up. He might bitch about it, but he's going to drink and show up.
The doctor's stuck on the schedule of activities.
that thing poses. There are a lot of variables here, and I like this. But I mean, that poses a conundrum for me. Like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to go to the wedding. I'm gonna take a day off from work. I gotta fly there Friday morning. I'm gonna be there all weekend, but I gotta go to the foot massage thing. I gotta go to this brunch.
You know what? That actually tracks, Doctor. I'm having flashbacks to the barn smoker that we all did, and when I went over the itinerary of our daily thing, I knew as I was saying out loud where we had to be at certain times. Like, this is not the doctor's cup of tea. This is not his modus operandi. He does not like to be told where to be at a certain time.
Weekends, baby.
All right. Well, I hope our audience is now a little more versed in destination weddings, as well as the Mortal Coil cigar, in which hazy and Imperial IPAs go with it. Well, it turns out, we're still on the plane here, that Frank and Lindsay do have one thing in common. They both hate the groom, Keith, who broke up with Lindsay a few weeks before their wedding 6 years ago. Frank tells her, Keith is a panhandling piece of garbage, and you're better off without him, which is saying something considering how bad off you are. Even when they say something potentially nice to each other, there's always a comma followed by an insult. Lindsay is looking for closure for her still shattered heart, and Frank's just there because his mother, whom he also hates, told him he should show up.
Shattered heart. You dated him 6 years ago.
And I'll say this right now. This, honestly...
Closure? He's getting married. It's 6 years ago. It's closed.
Bitter Keanu, honestly, after I finished watching this movie, it just occurred to me, I was like, oh my God, Bitter Keanu is literally the voice in my head when I have to listen to people's life stories when I am bartending. Dude. I literally, all the things that I cannot say, Bitter Keanu says them for me.
Dude, I had no idea how you guys would react. Cody thought I was catfishing y'all. Like I sent you the movie we're doing, and then like a couple hours later, I'd be like, nah, here's the real movie. But he's like, oh, you never said anything else. I guess we are doing this movie. He shows up at my house the other day to get some cigars, and all of a sudden he just gives me this genuine look, like, thank you. Like this movie speaks to me. Bitter Keanu is my inner voice at the pub. When I'm stuck behind the bar listening to these people talk about their lives, he's saying everything I want to say to them and saying it so eloquently. I was like, you're welcome, yes. You're welcome.
So if you ever see me bartending and there's someone literally just rambling on incoherently about something and you look over at me and you just see me like,
I've seen that.
Bitter Keanu in my head right now.
Yax, does this get me a free bar tab at the pub?
We'll talk later.
Substitutions on the platter?
No, it's when dicks like you ask for substitutions, he's getting the Keanu thoughts.
Oh, that's what he is. Oh, substitutions on a platter.
Too bad you can't substitute a somehow functional life.
Dude, you're getting better at that.
If you gave as much a shit about the jalapeno poppers as you did about your soul. Okay. Well, they arrive at the resort, and now is as good time as any to address a major element of the film here. Ryder, who plays the hopeless and embittered Lindsay, and Reeves, playing the eternally pessimistic Frank, are essentially the only two characters in the movie, or at least the only two speaking characters in the movie. The theme of Destination Wedding, as filmmaker Victor Levin explains, is that these two characters cannot participate in life, and they can't participate in happiness, and they certainly can't participate in the wedding weekend that they're both invited to. Life, happiness, the activities of the wedding are all taking place over there somewhere, just out of reach. So the idea of having them being the only two speakers was meant to reinforce this notion of isolation. It was about 30 minutes into the film where I realized no one else is going to talk in this.
36 minutes. I paused it, and I actually watched it with my wife, and I looked over at her, and I was like, it's been 36 minutes, and they're the only one speaking. This is almost like it's a two-person play.
And when I realized that, I was like, and I'm not going to hear anybody else talk. This is an intentional thing. They're the only two fucking characters in this movie that are going to talk. And even the background people don't talk. They just smile at each other. Like, even at a table,
look straight ahead, like the people on the plane. They were just like,
dude. Once I got it, and once I dawned on me that we're not going to hear anybody else speak, I really dug it.
Yeah, I jumped in.
Not only does that work exceptionally well, it's necessary because it also reinforces, and it's in the alternate title, right? It also reinforces their narcissism. These two are narcissists that. The wedding has no meaning to them other than the pain and inconvenience that it causes them. A narcissist can't see beyond their self at all. They're so self-involved. So and these two, even though they're great characters as played by Winona Ryder and Keanu, they're absolute narcissists. They almost revel in their discomfort and pain. And the whole wedding, the fact that it might be a happy moment for others, the fact that some other people might find this kind of stuff fun, that doesn't register because the whole event is all it means to them is the discomfort and inconvenience it is to them. But
I'm not going to give credit just to the screenwriter, who's also the director, for making that choice. I'm going to give credit for the money people and the producers who let them do that, because any other romantic comedy would be like, oh, come on, you got to have Keith give a speech that's funny up on stage, and you got to have like the best man speech, because that's what these movies always do. And like, no, like everyone involved went all in on this concept just these two people talking. And when there's millions of dollars involved, rolling the dice on a movie, hey, man, I don't give Hollywood a lot of credit, but giving this filmmaker and these actors the chance to do this little experiment paid off in spades.
Real quick, was this a studio project or an art house project? Project of love or
well, nowadays,
budget?
I mean, no, it wasn't a studio, but I mean, it was it's. I think it actually went to Netflix first before it branched out. But I mean, still, you're putting that kind of money on the line. You're going to want to fall back on what works. Well, that Katherine Heigl 21 Dresses movie, they had a funny scene where the groomsmen did a dance. We should have that in there.
Shouldn't we have a dog, to make him more
We have a
lovable?
dog that does some crazy shit.
However this worked out, I mean, they got two well-known names.
I think they read the script.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, this was something where, like I said, after watching it, I was like, it wouldn't have worked because I was trying to think, like you just said, I was like, if you had said like, hey, it's romantic comedy with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, I had to be like, what? No, it makes no sense.
How could you get the script as an actor and not want to do it? It's all about you. And
right.
Actors love shit that's all about them.
But like you
know, they're actors.
Even when I eventually did figure out, like, wait a second, they're the only ones talking. And it was about that, like kind of like that, 20, 30 minute mark. I'm like, wait a second, there's like a whole another hour to this film. Someone else has to talk, right? How are you going to fill another hour with just dialogue?
They do it.
And they do it, but they do it in such a way like that hour afterwards, you're like, where'd it go?
Yeah, it flies by. The movie rolls by at a good clip, which 135 movies we've done here on the show. I've slogged my way through a lot of fucking movies, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a 90-minute movie that I've been watching for 4 days. No, this movie flies by. I mean, it really does. But here's why it works. Having Frank and Lindsay describe the bastard Keith through conversation, having Frank tell us about his horrible parents rather than hear those old fuckers actually speak and tell us who they are. It was a very innovative gamble, but it worked. It totally worked.
And good job on the casting, because even though they don't speak, when they cut away to the mom and dads, you saw everything that they explained.
Keith and that little grin, and dude, I looked him up. He hasn't done any other thing, that actor. If he's even an actor, they might have just cast him because he has that snarmy little grin.
Could have been anybody.
He could have been anybody. But yes, they did a wonderful job of casting these non-speaking roles because they're great targets visually for the vitriol that Frank and Lindsay just sit there and spit at them.
Yeah. But it works so well. It would have not worked because of who Frank and Lindsay are. It works so well. It would have been a mistake to do it any other way, to bring in, like you said, Cade, any of those elements from a romantic comedy. That would have made it worse. And we don't even know, and I never thought about this until afterwards, we don't even know if they've exaggerated some of these things. Maybe Keith isn't so horrible. The stories he tells, it sounds pretty horrible about his family, but we don't know how much of that they exaggerated, but it doesn't really matter because it's only about these two and their experience.
Right.
And it's so unique in that regard, and that's absolutely what makes it worth watching. A subtitle tells us that it's now Friday night, and we're at the rehearsal dinner, but it says fucking rehearsal dinner with a line through fucking. There's loud hip-hop music playing at the lovely outdoor winery location as mostly old people mingle and move to the music. That totally seemed track for me. I've been at a lot of weddings.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's some like DMX playing and like old people are on the dance floor. And
well, it is always a thing, like the DJ will play music that does not fit the crowd. They cannot read the people in the crowd.
Time to get turned up. Me.
And I believe as of tonight, DMX is still alive. So the TNCC sins are we hope he pulls through. I want that guy to live.
I want the guy to produce again. I want to see him do some music again.
Yeah.
Can we also agree here that I know 100% me, I know 100% Cade. I'm about 99.9% sure on Yaks. Todd, I'm going to go 99%. So these are 4 non-dancers here.
Oh no. You get some courage in me, and I'm on that floor.
That's a dancer.
I am on that floor.
Okay, I was wrong. That's why I knew 99. Okay, they've got 3 non-dancers here.
Oh yeah.
He ain't getting on. There's
I-
that later.
I'm making that DJ's night. That DJ will play to me.
I'm about to get to the dancing doctor. Frank and Lindsay are assigned a table together because at these things you're always assigned a table. Just the two of them together at a table. Lindsay wonders if Keith is trying to fix the two of them up. We're on the same flight. We have adjoining hotel rooms. We're seated together, but Frank quickly shuts that down. Keith has never had a thought about another human being in his life. So we're just the people you don't know where to stick? I don't want to be a person you don't know where to stick. That's not the life I imagined for myself, Lindsay sighs. I'm sure your next life will be better, Frank offers sincerely. And then Keith and his Danish blonde bride-to-be arrive, and as the happy, attractive couple make their way around the party, Lindsay's starting to freak out. She's almost hyperventilating, as it's the first time she's seen Keith since their crushing ending. She loved him. She loved him with everything she had, and
What is she doing here?
and she's still broken up about
Exactly. Who invites their ex-fiance?
She's here because she was invited, which if Keith is a douchebag, that's why he invited her. Nobody invites their ex-fiance at their wedding, except a douchebag. How can this be the way the species is set up, she asked Frank. How can we be allowed to feel so much for people who don't feel anything for us? You're assuming you're normal, which is hilarious, Frank said. That's incredibly cruel, she responds. Well, look at it this way. For a time, you carved out a place in his life when there really shouldn't have been one. Which makes me a dipshit, she says. I agree. I was just humoring you. The truth is, from puberty on, we should all just be playing defense. On into what, she asks. Death.
I actually I agree with that line, though. I mean, once you hit puberty, you should just play defense.
As I said before, there's so much dialogue in this film. I'm not going to get to most of the good stuff, but I found it impressive that so much of it was legit funny and good and telling and memorable. Unlike Doctor, you mentioned earlier, as a comparison point, our boy Kevin Smith's later works, where I listen to a ton of words being fired back and forth, and I don't laugh much, and I never feel the need to rewind. I rewound this movie a lot to catch funny stuff because I was laughing, and I was like, oh, I didn't hear what he said. I bet it's good. And I rewound it some more. The general rule of screenwriting is to show who the characters are rather than have them tell us who they are through dialogue. And this movie delightfully pisses all over that rule. And I love shit that pisses all over rules. This movie, they don't show you who they are. They tell you in words, which is the number one no-no. And I loved it for it.
And it worked.
Well, that's what I liked about it. Because, I mean, it was usually like, and Tut said it, it's like watching a play. There's not a whole lot. There's not a lot of movement going on.
No, the sets are very static.
The camera shoots over so that you have a reference point for the parents and for, the bride and the groom.
And then boom, right back to them in the frame, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's just them. And that's what I actually like about it, because it's like it's two people, and it is dialogue of what people actually want to say but never do.
See, that's weird that I guess I'm a fan of Kevin Smith in terms of his comic book type stuff and his thoughts there. But it's weird that not weird, but it's interesting. You guys gravitated to Kevin Smith. I gravitated to Larry David with the pace of Aaron Sorkin. I made a comment. I was like, it's like Larry David and Aaron Sorkin got drunk and wrote a 2-person play. It was just rapid fire lines and just that Larry David cynicism throughout the entire thing.
I would actually it does have a lot of less manic Larry David elements to it. Same pessimism, same observation stuff.
Right.
I would actually say to me it was more like Larry David married with David Mamet, Glengarry Glen Ross type stuff as far as a playwright goes. I never got into Sorkin.
I appreciated Sorkin for his...
Right, it's the funniest comedy that you just can't figure out how to laugh at.
I laughed at it, watched it all. I loved it. It was rapid fire dialogue, and that's the reason why I thought that it was Aaron Sorkin. It was just the pace of it to where there was like no breath in between the lines between either of the characters.
Yeah, no.
Boom, boom,
well,
boom,
first
boom,
of all,
boom.
it's extremely difficult to do as an actor, which I appreciated even more so what Keanu and Winona did. But it reminded me a lot of early Smith, like Chasing Amy, which Doctor and I are huge fans of. And especially he reminded me a lot of the rants of Jason Lee in Mallrats when he would go off on tangents. Jason Lee did, by the way, masterfully, but there's not a lot of actors that can do that. And not all of it was comedy gold. Some of it was just
there's some misses in here. There's some pretty big misses.
There's some misses, but those misses are kept afloat because of the actors that are missing it. It's not their fault, and their charm and their charisma keep it going.
Yeah, it carries you through those.
We learn that it's not just Lindsay who's been fucked over by people she thought she cared about. Fucking Keith. It turns out Frank's own father pulled out a gun and shot him a couple of years ago after calling Frank the embodiment of all his bad choices in life.
Jeez.
Frank charged at him, slapped the pistol across his dad's face, breaking his nose. And when the old man begged Frank to go ahead and kill him, he just couldn't. Not because I didn't want to. I absolutely did. I just didn't want to fuck up my own life any more than it already was. Holy shit. And the whole time he's saying this, you see his dad with his dad's new old girlfriend and his old divorced mom. You just watch these actors who we never get to hear speak, but you're right. They're casted perfectly by their visual appearance. Oh my God.
I love Winona when she's breaking down the dad's new old girlfriend. It's like he doesn't even have the decency to break up and go with a younger woman. He has to go with an old woman. That's an insult.
As they sit there cracking jokes at his old ass father and his old ass girlfriend who left his bitter old ass mom for her, they're just so cruel and unrelenting. I loved it. Finally, they both get up and pay their dues. Lindsay walks over to hug her former love, Keith, and meet his smoking hot new bride. And Frank goes over to say hello to his parents. When they meet back up at the losers table, he asks if the visibly shaken Lindsay's okay. Nope. Are you? I'm all fucked up and I always will be. She takes the cue and gets up and leaves, realizing that nobody will notice she's gone. And she gives the party a big fat middle finger as she leaves. This makes Frank chuckle a little bit. First smile we've seen from him.
Yeah, later the double take was awesome.
Later that night, back in their rooms, they hear each other watching the same old movie through the adjourning hotel room door, but neither lost soul is willing to knock and offer the other any comfort. Any other romantic comedy, they would have opened that door and that's where the movie would start. Nope, not these guys. Real quick, I'm about the halfway point in the cigar. Still, I haven't got your chocolate, Yaks. I'm still earth, mineral through the nose and the draw. No pepper. Wish that came back. I'm getting Tut's bready cracker on the draw. I want that chocolate, Yaks. Are you still getting it?
I am. That mineral, as y'all said, is very prevalent.
It's warm and nice.
It is the dominating flavor.
So nice.
But, like I said, I had only got that chocolate on the just aroma off the wrapper. Here in the middle, it has stuck around. It is very subtle. I'm not saying like it's just chocolatey goodness. It's just very subtle, but I am getting it.
Okay.
I'm not really, like you just said, I'm not really getting any spice. There was a little bit initially on the light up and a little bit I had on a retro hell in the beginning, but it's very non-existent now.
If that spice comes back in the final third, it's going to be really interesting because that's what the cigar needs right now is that comeback of the spice.
I'm happy. I'm satisfied with it being gone. I've really appreciated the toast note. That dryness on the draw, the back at the very beginning of the retro hell, and then the mineral. I'm about the midway point. That mineral has just you're right. It dominates the entire profile right now, especially on that retro hell. It's a pretty little cigar.
Usually, mineral's a minimal kind of a side note to what else is going on. This mineral has overtaken both the draw and the thing, and it's just so warm and all encompassing. It's really unique, and the cigar construction wise is burning great.
I got a little bit of a vegetable oil presence, but I'm almost thinking that that's due to the mineral and the citrus of the beer. I think that's
Well, that
what's
could have
bringing
been
that in.
from dumping it on your cock when you got it stuck in that doorknob hole earlier too.
I'm just saying, mineral oil will get that thing right out.
Oh, they said vegetable oil. Sorry.
Oh yeah, with vegetable oil.
Go get the Newman's Own salad dressing. I got my
No. Give me the Wesson. I need the Wesson.
I got my dick stuck in the door again. Give me some Hidden Valley Ranch.
I like that again. All of a sudden, you hear from the kitchen again.
I got margarine. No, get that. I can't believe it's not butter.
Don't waste the good stuff.
Don't waste the good stuff. You buffoon. As I stand here with my dick stuck in a vintage doorknob hole. I'm guessing that Eric and Katie are no longer together.
Maybe we should create a product called "I Can't Believe My Dick Is Stuck in a Vintage Doorknob Hole."
I can't believe my dick's stuck in a vintage doorknob hole.
I think that's what a few of our fans have uttered as they've watched our deal.
I'm picturing some late night infomercial where the guy's up against the door. I've done it again. It's like, does this happen to you often? You need "I Can't Believe My Dick Is Stuck in a Vintage Doorknob Hole."
Actually, you're close. And I think this is where it came from. You read this and forgot about it. One of our YouTube comments said, I'd rather have my dick stuck in a vintage doorknob hole than listen to you guys ever again.
I'm sorry I wrote that.
Oddly enough, I was flipping through channels and, late night, they have that sex sent me to the ER. I saw the byline of it and it was like, man watching podcast, gets his dick stuck in a doorknob hole. I thought it was just a coincidence and I moved on.
Actually, Tut, it's funny you say that. This story I told you was featured on I'd never seen the show. Sex Led Me to the ER, whatever, on TLC or whatever. This story was featured on there, so keep your eyes out and your dicks out. Or no, keep your dicks in. Don't keep your dicks out. That's what got Eric in trouble.
Don't be like Eric.
Don't be like Eric, and don't, for God's sake, if your significant other wants you to drill a vintage doorknob hole, tell her to go fuck herself, or drill it herself.
Or at very least, at least tell the newspaper it was a big doorknob hole.
Again, she's she loves the sea. I was putting in a big submarine porthole, and that massive porthole, I was like, I think I can get my giant dick in there. With the help of some Wesson oil. A subtitle tells us
we need to mark the minutes of this, and I need to create a clip and send it to Wesson as a sponsorship pitch.
Dude, I'm all. And after telling you a little bit about Drew Estate, now we'll take a moment for Wesson oil. If your dick is stuck in a door or
not only will you be able to make the best fried chicken.
Maybe you were clean. Maybe you were an idiot. Maybe you're an idiot who's cleaning his gutters up on a ladder. And you're like, hey, I bet my dick would fit in this gutter. I'm going to stick it in it and pleasure my wife through a roof gutter. If things go south, consider Wesson oil. Or Paul Newman's Own vinegar and oil dressing. That had kind of a Trace Atkins. If your dick's stuck in a ring.
No.
Paul Newman's vinegar and oil dressing. Okay, sorry. All right.
If your life's so miserable that you would stick your dick in a doorknob, think Wesson.
Wesson.
By the way, Kate, just because obviously we can't mention everything, but we passed this one by, and it was just one of my favorite. It's a one-liner from Keanu.
Yeah,
I'm gonna miss a lot of lines.
It was just one of my favorite lines. That first day that they arrive, before they go to the rehearsal dinner, he's in his room in his underpants, just relaxing, and she opens the adjoining door in her robe, and she just says, "Oh, I thought this was my closet." And after a pause, he's just standing there in his underwear and goes, "Are you expecting some kind of response?"
I love that. You're right. That was just his delivery of that pause, that timing. Oh,
and you can't tell me that Matt Damon or any other A-list actor would take this role where a chick walks in his room and he's standing there in his underpants going, like, dude, Keanu has no shame.
Well, here's the funny thing is that those guys would have taken that. Like if you know how much I love Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey would have taken that and turned it into a bit. There would have been a little bit of a little bit of funny there. It would have been like cute.
Dude, I love McConaughey too. He'd be terrible in this.
Yeah, movie. Keanu, the way he played it straight, like no big deal, is what sold it.
Yeah. A subtitle shows up on the screen that tells us it's Saturday morning, and the schedule is a bunch of stupid shit you would never do otherwise activities, but it has that a bunch of stupid shit you would never do otherwise crossed out, just activities.
And again, this is the part of destination weddings I was not familiar with.
I like that the reality of it crossed out, just activities. Frank and Lindsay are getting foot massages at the resort spa. She guesses correctly that this isn't Frank's cup of tea, but the massage is worth $30, and it turns out it was a gift to them in their welcome basket. It turns out Frank loves free shit.
He's a miser.
Hotel slippers, hotel soaps, they're just the beginning. He even takes those shoehorns the fancier places put in the closet. She doesn't get it at all. And Frank doesn't get why she's still so miserable after all that Keith did to her. She's still pining over this asshole. Lindsay tells him he doesn't understand because Frank is a monkey who's incapable of understanding the human condition. Having met you, I understand why it's a condition, he comes back with.
Bitter Keanu.
Dude, is it just me? I said it earlier. He's talking like Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone in this thing.
No, it's phenomenal. Like I said, it's one of those things where it's just dawned on me, like, inside my head, it is just this deadpan voice. When I have to listen to people, they tell their stories, they tell their whatever, their jokes, whatever. Oh, I've got to laugh along. But on the inside, it is bitter.
What sucks is every time I talk to you now, I'm going to be questioning,
dude,
are you...
I'm a tud. Every time we tell you a story now, we'd be like, oh, God, he's bitter Keanu.
I'm sorry, but it is. It just...
Well, before I move on,
instead of making the bad choices of dropping out of college and going 10 years on the road as a country piano player, maybe you should have stayed in college. Shut up, Cody. I don't need that kind of pressure and judgment in my life. Cody's like, I didn't say anything. I heard Inner Keanu.
Perhaps the opera scholarship was a mistake. Oh, wait. Scratch the perhaps. By the way, before we move on, is my Keanu half serviceable? I'm doing the best I can.
Dude, I think it's good. I think it's great. It's improved over the episode, and I am laughing my fucking ass off. Keep doing
the more I drink, the better it gets.
No, you were good at the very beginning. It was,
okay.
It was fun.
So it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Well, dude, the funny thing is, I used to do a Keanu impression, but I only did one line. And when Point Break was big, whenever we go out to eat and stuff, like when we're back in high school, Doc, when that came out?
Yeah.
We'd go out and I'd always like shrimp and fries. I'd always say shrimp and fries in the Keanu voice, and like nobody got it, but I would laugh at it. Shrimp and fries. I am an FBI agent. I would have like some Point Break stuff I do, but I haven't done it in years. I didn't help
if Cade would be on a date and I would lean over his shoulder in the Gary Busey voice and go, Carnivalax, rub it on your board for traction.
Cade, give me two. Give me two,
Cade. Give me two. So hungry I can eat the ass end of a dead rhino. Vinci, I'm trying to...
Come on, Pappas. All right.
2 bricks coming up.
Well, Frank is open and honest in that he's opted out of the human condition. So none of this love business affects him in the slightest. In fact, he's never even been in love. He asks Lindsay, when you were in love, what was it like? And that blows her mind. Like, dude, this guy's, you're right. He's like 50 something, but he looks like he's in his 30s. He's never had love. He also tells her, in an effort to make her feel better, I like this one. I spoke to the bride, and she's not threatened by you at all. I thought that might make you feel better. Oh, thanks, Frank. That makes me feel tremendous. Dude, it's the worst thing you can say to somebody. which she wouldn't. I mean, little mousy Winona Ryder kind of goes over there and gives him little hugs, and that chick's like a big titty Danish bombshell. Good job, Keith. Maybe Keith isn't all that dumb after all. After the massage, they head over to a wine testing event. That's next on the activities, where they observe the wedding party from afar and make fun of everyone some more.
Now, this one I might go to. This is an activity.
Their whole conversation here is shot. Not Frank, though. He's like, who drinks wine at 11 a.m.? I can still taste toothpaste in my mouth. Me? I do, Keanu. All right? You happy?
Wait, excuse me. Now the whole purpose of my wine glass earlier.
But their whole conversation here is shot. They're in the very middle of the screen, squeezed between two large racks of wine barrels. I'm curious, from an overall cinematography standpoint, did you like how the director mainly just set up the camera in a good-looking medium two-shot and let them talk? He hardly ever cut away to singles or close-ups on anything. I dug it. I thought it served the movie well, but as an editor and who likes options, and as someone who likes to do cool shit with the camera, I thought maybe you'd be like, I've never seen a movie like this where they just put the camera on sticks and capture shit simplistically.
A couple of things. One, I don't know how much was DOP related versus director, like how much instruction was going where. I'm going to think it's director.
It's all director. DOP wants to, like, we should move in here. He always wants to move that camera.
I think the director was like, this is the frame I want. Here we go. It's ballsy. As an editor, you always want those cutaways. You always want that stuff, the extra material that you can change the pace of things with, that you can edit the flow. And there's not that cushion. It's not a safety blanket. There is one scene, and you have to get it all in that take. And if there is some splice cuts, they're almost unnoticeable. It speaks entirely to the professionalism of the actors who are able to do this.
I mean, they do film a wide shot behind them, so you can cut to that where you see what they're talking at. So that gives you a little bit of cushion.
Yeah, but mainly it's just them, and that's it. And I love the fact that there's no moves, there's no push-ins, there's no nothing. It is just this is the actor's world, and you are experiencing it through their dialogue.
Yeah, and we'll get to when there is some camera movement later, because it jumped at me because there actually was some. But and by the way, to our listeners and viewers, DOP in the film world is director of photography. That is the man behind the camera, or the man calling the shots behind the camera work. You just learned something. Lindsay is trying to convince Frank that marriages can work out.
You know, there are female director of photographies, right? So there could have been the woman behind.
Oh, did I say the man behind?
That is true.
The person.
The person.
Okay.
The non-binary androgynous person behind the camera.
I just wanted to pull Winona and say, I don't need you stepping ahead of me and exerting your man force there.
Tut, I'm going to take a minute and escape your vortex.
I love the fact, I'm sorry, that whole scene where it was like, I would, but that would mean passing by you again. I just like, oh my God.
Great line. Lindsay is trying to convince Frank that marriages can work out and offers up this wisdom. It might help you to consider the idea that Frank offers up this wisdom. It might help you to consider the idea that heartbreak is pointless. Because if you had wound up with that person, you eventually would have been miserable anyway. Actually, that does help. Thank you, she says. And she means it. You're welcome. But don't you believe there's someone for everyone? She's ever the optimist, but she's talking to the wrong guy, obviously. Close, he says. I believe there's nobody for anyone.
I actually like the heartache thing, the heartbreak. There's no point in it. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good philosophy.
Boys, I believe what she's talking about is one love for everyone. There's that one love that exists.
Terrible.
Like my beer that I'm drinking tonight.
Terrible.
Or maybe a bright, white, searing pain that caused.
Wait, doctor, I have one of those in my chest.
You podcast hosts kill me.
Doctor, help me.
And I said, you podcast hosts kill me.
Man, whereas most romantic comedies would have him warming up by now, way before now. There's always that moment in these films where the hardened hunk who's turned off to love makes that turn to the chick. But at this point, we're over a third of the way.
Not our Frank.
We are over a third of the way into this film, and Frank is actually getting more nihilistic and more depressing by the minute. I love it. The next activity on the schedule has everyone gathered together and wearing those giant inflatable balls around their bodies where they bash.
I'm sorry. When they cut away to them and they're just sitting in those things, I laughed for 5 fucking minutes.
Dude, they're this huge inflatable giant balls that people wear in their bodies and bash into each other and knock each other down. Of course, you know, they're not participating naturally. It's Frank and Lindsay. They're just watching it from under a tree as she sips her coffee.
But they still have the balls.
They're still wearing these giant balls on it. And again, I'm going to say it like with those peanuts, watching Keanu Reeves in a setting that's just like a normal, just like him in the inflatable ball made me laugh for 5 minutes.
I mean, when they were going on in the winery and then they just cut to this, I literally just could not stop laughing.
Dude,
because at this point, these characters are so established. Seeing them doing something physical, like,
dude, just
watching, this is supposed to be fun. We're gonna run around.
Watching them still just go about their talking while wearing these incredibly ridiculous oversized beach balls. It's hilarious.
But the question was, I honestly would have loved to actually have seen them introduced, or seen Frank's character introduced to this activity. Here's what we're doing. Fuck.
Yeah. What? You're putting this on. What? Dude, there's a moment there where he does a double what in a little bit. That's the funniest thing to me in the movie. Well, she still tries to find a glimmer of optimism in Frank, but it's just not there. He tells her that enduring his upbringing, what he went through, he considers it a triumph of the will that there aren't shallow graves dotting his backyard. He says he'd rather be strong and ruined than weak and ruined like her. She's still mourning a long dead relationship and believing in the possibility of love. She says she's not being weak, Frank. I just have hope. Frank tells her that weakness and hope are the exact same thing. And right when he says that, this kind of poignant line, these two knuckleheads race by and crash into each other in those big inflatable suits. And the sound design there was great because as they're talking, you hear these guys just bouncing off each other and like.
Oh, now you're starting to see where the psyche of Winona Ryder's character is crashing into the psyche of Frank's characters.
I think you're reading a little too much into it.
No. Layers.
The enormous beach ball bodies were a symbolic representation of these two characters.
Yeah, guess what's about to happen?
Now that we know Tut dances at weddings, I'm thinking he'd be out there full bore in that giant inflatable ball, just having himself.
Hey,
I probably would be.
I will say this.
Give me those beers and let's go.
God damn it. I'm going to regret admitting this. One of my favorite pictures ever taken of me and my wife, and we've been together for decades. That's saying something, is at Tut's wedding on the dance floor. And she's smiling. I got a good looking
picture, man. Y'all look great.
I got, you know the picture I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I got a stogie in my hand. She's smiling. I'm spinning around. Now, granted, I was like 20 Long Islands in.
Dude, it's actually made the cut for our wedding book. It's good. It's a good deal. Y'all looked great there. Y'all looked happy. Y'all looked so happy.
She likes to dance, and I do it occasionally for her. I don't give her the Keanu. It's a stupid exercise in human moronity. It's like, well, guess what, asshole? You're taking the bus back to the hotel. All right, I'll dance. A subtitle tells us that it's now Saturday evening. And just what the world needs, another goddamn sunset wedding. But all that's crossed out, just wedding. The ceremony is in the middle of a grape field, uphill. And there's no way that Lindsay can make it up there in her heels. They mentioned it in the welcome basket. I love when he did just him saying like, no, they mentioned it was a truck in the welcome basket. And there's no way she's showing up at her ex. She's like, we just got foot massages this morning. My feet are feeling great. And I'm not showing up at my ex-fiance's wedding with dirty feet. Can you please carry me? What? I can't believe I even have to ask you, Frank. What? Dude, that double what for some reason was fucking hilarious to me. It's only 90 feet. How much do you weigh? Come on, Frank. I don't want to shed my mortal coil, he explains. Well, if that happens, you can put me down, she sighs. Hey, guys, Mortal Coil is the name of our fucking cigar tonight. How's that expert level pairing shit?
Phenomenal.
What are the odds of that happening?
That is such a rarely used line. My wife was like, "What is Mortal Coil?" And I was like, "Your body."
I've never even heard the term Mortal Coil before. Maybe once.
You need to read more fantasy.
It shows up in this movie.
No, it's from Shakespeare. It's from the Hamlet soliloquy. To expire from the mortal coil, that means to pass from the earth.
Look at Doctor getting erudite.
It's in Hamlet. So to be or not to be. That's the first expression of it. To expire from the mortal coil. So you hear that. That means to die, to leave your body and go away. To expire from the mortal coil.
Dude,
something is right in the state of Denmark.
He says it, and we're smoking it. That's awesome. And what? I'll tell you what else
to
is
be
awesome.
Or not to be. Not to be.
Not to be.
Claudius.
I'll tell you what else is awesome.
I can't think of Hamlet without that.
Watching this tough guy action movie hero, it's awesome and hilarious. It's actually hysterical. Watching him try to pick her up and carry her up this 90-foot thing. Dude, he's struggling. He's like,
the awkwardness. It's not like he just scoops her up like, I've got this. He's struggling like, oh.
Yeah, he's not John Wick.
He's not John Wick. And she even says, I'm like, I've never been carried this poorly. Like,
she says, I've never been carried this slow before.
He's sweating.
And he's literally only taken 2 steps.
Naturally, during the ceremony, Frank and Lindsay sit in the back row and talk and bitch and make fun of everyone else, especially the pansexual minister. They have a big field day with that guy. Did y'all notice him later at the reception dancing with a man and a woman?
That was the husband and the bride, which they speculated about.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't? I thought it was.
No, they speculated that he had sex with both Keith and the wife, but no, it was the wife and some other dude.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know why they didn't do that. It would have made more sense. But when Frank asked why anyone would have his morose mother as their maid of honor, dude, his old ass mom is Anne's maid of honor. Lindsay agrees. It's like having the Grim Reaper at your CAT scan. She asks Frank if his old ass mom was born during the Great Depression. And he says, no, she caused it. Holy shit, has nobody ever used that line before? It's so good. Oh my God. I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard at that line. At the reception that follows under a large white tent, everyone is dancing and smiling, except Frank and Lindsay, who are once again seated together at the loser table, miserable. He asks her, do you want to dance? She declines, and then she says, well, I'll dance if you want to. And he says, of course not. Dancing's moronic, a total waste of time. You're not that busy, Lindsay says. That was a good gun. What are you wasting time at, you fucking loser? As they watch Keith stick his tongue down his Danish wife's throat on the dance floor, Lindsay smashes her face violently down on her dinner plate and asks Frank if they can go for a walk. Lindsay's complaining as they walk about something yet again, and Frank calls her out for being privileged with her trivial white people problems. So we're not allowed to have problems, she asks. We're allowed to have problems. We're allowed to have them, but no one is interested in them, and I don't blame them. I'm not even interested. We're trite, trivial, tiresome, tone-deaf narcissists. I never said I wasn't a tone-deaf narcissist, she says. We should keep our shit to ourselves. The optics are very bad, Frank says. Nobody's looking, she says. I love that. The optics are bad. Dude, nobody's looking at us. This is one of those rare conversations to what we spoke of just a minute ago, where the camera starts to travel slowly with them. And dude, it's just a camera pan right as they walk, but it was the first camera movie in the whole movie. And I was like, I just noticed that. And it's crazy. I noticed a camera panning slowly because until now, it's all been locked shots. Just as Lindsay is lamenting the fact that she will never have the opportunity to procreate, I have so much to give. Not really. They suddenly come face to face with a sizable mountain lion, like the one on my.
No, that's like an African lion.
That's like an African lion. And Tut's man cheetah doesn't even have a picture on it, so he doesn't get to.
Oh, come on. They actually say the word cheetah.
Yeah, they do, but this is actually one of the.
I'll get to. They debate.
I love this debate.
What I love is literally they're faced, quote unquote, with mortal danger, and they're bickering over what the fuck it is.
Is it a cheetah? Is it a puma? She's seen some
jaguar.
She sees some National Geographic shit. She's like, I think it's a jaguar. We're not in North Africa. They also debate about who should run and who should stay and fight. The only thing they do agree upon is that if the cat does eat Lindsay, it would certainly ruin Keith's wedding, and that can only be a good thing. I can't believe that you're the last human being I'm ever going to talk to, she says. There could be some EMTs.
I love that. Oh my God.
Both yet so pessimistic, and yet there's a possibility of hope.
And the way that these two actors are able to just absolutely deliver these lines, that's believable, because some of this stuff is farcical, but you believe that these characters are being able to deliver
especially with Winona. It only works because it's Winona, because she's so eccentric, and she's so. When she goes off, when they're debating who should run and whatnot, and she's like, "Well, I tend to go long distance because it's better for my endurance and my heart rate," and like. And but if the lion gets me, I could be a hemophiliac. What do you mean could be? Well, how do you not know that by now? You're like in your 50s. And she's like, well, it could be like later, like diabetes. You can get it later in life.
Adult onset hemophilia.
Huge fucking cat sitting there, and they're just going off. The cat starts to growl, so Frank grabs his ear and starts doing that phlegmy, hawking, throat clearing thing that not only scares the cat away, but it totally repulses Lindsay in the process. Dude, go back and watch her face watching him do that. Dude, she's so disgusted by Keanu Reeves in that moment. It's like she wants to get eaten. She'd rather get eaten by that lion than watch him keep doing that. Oh, dude, her physicality in this is priceless. It's like old school Hollywood, like her physical comedy and her just.
Do you think she has control over that one eyelid that like closes at a different pace than the other eyelid? Because there's some times where I think it's affected.
I watched this movie 3 times. I think she has control over everything she's doing.
Okay, I thought that was a pretty cool.
I think she's that fucking good. I really do. Frank and Lindsay turn and run, and the lion takes off running when Frank starts doing that crazy thing. And they turn and run in the opposite direction of the retreating cat. And they eventually lose their footing and tumble down a steep, but still incredibly scenic and beautiful hill. Man, I want to go to wine country, man. This stuff looks
beautiful.
Beautiful out there. They should have gotten some money from the San Luis Obispo Chamber of Commerce.
They probably did.
I want to go there now.
All right, look, buddy, I'll go. I just don't want a list of activities. All right. I mean, if we can just play it by ear, if there's no itinerary.
No. I want to see Doc by a tree in that big old inflatable ball.
We're going to renew our vows next year in San Luis Obispo, and you guys will do whatever the fuck I tell you to do.
Jenny's like, Menzies not coming. I can't believe this year. He had a whole thing with that 8 a.m. zip lining. He's just not going to be here for that.
What if I do 11 a.m. at the San Luis Obispo Chili's Long Island iced teas for 4 hours?
I like it.
Yax is in.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
When Lindsay comes to after they fall down the hill, after Frank violently flips her over like a pancake, she's like, If I had a spinal injury, that's not how you do this. Just like, totally just tears her over on her side. She asks, why did you save my life? She's looking at him totally in hero mode now. He says he didn't save her. He saved them. She presses on, why did you save me? Because I'm an idiot, he answers. Eventually she gives up and offers a simple thank you, which prompts Frank to lean in and forcibly kiss her. She shoves him away and curses him. What the fuck was that, Frank? And then he comes in for another kiss, and after a few seconds, she pushes him away again. Jesus, Frank, what the fuck is wrong with you? I don't know. He just keeps doing it. Now it's her turn to jump his bones, and he pushes her away. What the fuck? But she says, you know what? Let's just come on and do this. And they go at it. It's clumsy. It's truly comical. And it's not like anything you'd ever see Reese Witherspoon or Colin fucking Firth do on screen. It is the most awkward sex scene certainly we've ever seen here.
Oh, no. We've seen more awkward ones.
Well, we haven't got to the sex yet. After they talk things through some more, they're both terrified of feeling anything pleasurable because of the pressures that could potentially bring about in their otherwise miserable, simple lives. Frank tells her then, well, I don't have a condom. Why would you? Like, why would you have a condom on you?
I don't know why that cracked me up.
But Lindsay assures him, I'm pretty sure my womb is hostile, which is that line, out of all her lines, that line killed me more than any of the other ones. I don't want to get you pregnant. I'm pretty sure my womb is hostile. I'm hostile. It's hostile. Holy shit. This stuff was great. Well, it gets better. Once they both agree that even if she were to get pregnant, how much worse could things possibly get in their lives? Even a kid can't make them worse than they're already just ready to kill themselves. They tear off their clothes, and we're treated to the most weird sex scene I've seen in a non-porno in quite some time. I watch a lot of porn. For several long minutes, we watch as Keanu mounts Winona, missionary style, thrusts in and out of her while they continue to talk about everything and anything. His mom, Keith, you name it, they're talking about it. When he finally orgasms and cries out like a wounded, sad dog, and we cut to a wide shot of him like, woo, like lean up, like, oh God. We then, as he's doing that, we cut away to the mountain lion taking a nap nearby. Frank was worried that if they had sex, the smell of musk would attract the mountain lion. Dude, that mountain lion wants nothing to do with this shit. He's snoozing miles away. This sex scene was so absurd. You want to tell me that Vin Diesel would ever do a sex scene like this? Hell no. And even if he wanted to, he couldn't.
While I appreciate
this is Keanu making fun of putting himself out there to be the brunt of the joke. Ain't no other action star doing this stuff.
This was one of the few misses for me because it was the first time to where I was just ripped out and just like, oh, listen to the dialogue in a situation where there would be no dialogue. Makes no sense for the dialogue. Makes no sense for what they were saying. This is just the writer doing what writers do. This is one of the few misses for me.
As they described, narcissists, even during this, what would be an intimate situation, you just quote unquote face death, and the heat of the moment, they can't stop talking. They can't stop being so self-centered.
Yeah,
my opinions. Dude, I took it like, yeah, I'm still, my opinions need to be heard. My thoughts need to be acknowledged in this moment. Dude, this felt totally in character for me.
It's so, and I love Winona Ryder, and I think she's aged wondrously and looks fantastic. It's so not sexy. The whole it is this long, drawn out sex scene that is so not sexy, and I get that it is the point, but unlike anything any woman's ever said to me, It went on a little too long.
Yeah, I think that you could have cut this scene in half. Still had the sex scene. Still had a little bit of banter, but just moved on. To me, the writers are the narcissists here, and they want to make sure that you hear what they say.
Biting criticism from Mr. Tutt. Okay. When they stumble their way back to the resort shuttle bus to take him back, Lindsay asks Frank if he could use a drink. He responds, "I want all the drinks poured directly down my gullet." "Well, why don't we go back to your room and crack open the minibar?" she suggests happily. "Why don't we go to your room and crack open your goddamn minibar?"
And I love that.
Fires back to cheap ass Frank who just got laid. Frank.
But what I love more than anything is that
real quick, she looks at him. "Frank, we're alive. Like, who cares about minibar prices? We're alive." "What does that have to do with anything?"
What I love is that has actual emphasis. Why don't we crack open your goddamn mini? Don't touch my fucking.
He already broke down the price of the cashews in the minibar. 80 cents a cashew earlier in the film.
And he obviously has a well-paying career. He was the head of marketing for JD Power.
Yeah, they get into their careers. She's a lawyer, and he's a head of marketing.
It's not about the money. He's just a son. He's just a miserly son of a bitch.
Well, here's what I love about this film, boys, among other things. The characters are consistent. As I mentioned earlier, in most romantic comedies, you'd have someone metamorphosizing in front of our eyes by now. McConaughey would be seeing the light, completely changing their core beliefs because of this new love.
Absolutely.
But these two, especially Frank, stay true to who they are fucking throughout. You know who else stays true to who they are, Tut?
Our good friends at Drew Estate.
That's right, brother.
Oh!
I'm talking about our good friends over at Drew Estate. And I'm speaking of Drew Estate, I'm talking about one of their newer offerings for a hot minute. Crafted by Level 9 Cuban rollers at the famed El Titan de Bronze on Calle Ocho.
Talk to me, brother.
The Herrera Esteli Miami line is expertly rolled in a lavish Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper over a rich Ecuadorian Sumatran binder with select fillers from both the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua. The new look of Herrera Esteli Miami features a rich black and gold packaging and is available in 5 sizes. I smoked the cigar many times. It is truly one of Willie Herrera's masterpieces, and that says something. That guy's off the charts with his accomplishments. So jump in your car or jump online right now. Get your hands on some. What are you waiting for? Do it now. Do it. We'll wait.
Unlike the art of making love, the art of rolling a cigar is not one of humanity's absurdities.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'd like if we made a cigar that tastes like shrimp and fries. Oh, and while we're talking about cool shit, I'd also like to take a hot minute to let you know about something very cool, Cigar World. Cigar World is an online site for cigar smokers, real cigar smokers. There you can get cigar news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Also on the site is a cigar research panel called the Testing Lab. You might find the doctor there under a pseudonym, perhaps. You can sign up, give your input on new cigars by taking surveys and testing cigars. Check it out at cigarworld.com/testing lab. And speaking of cigars for the third time,
what?
I'm getting some spice in this final third. I'm getting a little bit of pepper back in the nose, which is exactly what I wanted.
I'm missing that.
It's not the strength it was in the first third. Actually, the first half inch when we first lit up. But man, I'm getting a little bit of that pepper mixed with the mineral in the nose. And I needed it, man. I really wanted that to happen. And I'm getting some of that strength through the nose again. And it's going great with that earth mineral breadiness on the draw.
Well, I think I've reached the point to where between the wine and the beer, I've got the tingles going through the cheeks and the eyes, and so
you're saying you're shit faced.
No, I'm not. It just damn. I wish I could do that.
That means the multiple liquors coursing through your blood. That means it's working.
My face is tingling, and I can't tell shit from shit. But
there's two imitations that I would love to actually be able to do. One is Christopher Walken, and now, thanks to this movie, Keanu Reeves. I wish I could do both of them because they're so awesome.
Are you so the cigar for you did not kick up in the last third with the pepper? You're just still getting mineral heavy, retrohale, mineral heavy, earth and readiness on the draw.
Yeah, and actually, I've kind of missed out on that earth component until this last part. The earth to me has actually made its presence into here. I'm still getting heavy mineral on the draw. The breadiness is kind of taking a back seat too. The palate, the mouthfeel is kind of starting to juice up a little bit. But yeah, I'm not getting the spice so much. But I could be absolutely just missing it because I'm kind of intoxicated at this point.
That's what I said 5 minutes ago. You're shit faced.
No, I am intoxicated.
Okay. Well, now same thing. Yaks, you cool with all that?
Mineral.
We never got your chocolate, buddy. I'm sorry.
It has died down. It looked apparently just, I mean, maybe just a touch. Everything else, no. I'm not.
It's a slow burning.
Even with that pepper, I'm like, I'm really straining, and I'm like, am I getting something? Am I getting a spice? No.
It's a slow burning cigar. I will give it that. It's lasted quite a bit. Let's go ahead and take a point here, boys. If you get anything more out of it, let me know. Let's talk price point.
All right.
I think this was limited to all these limited CAOs like the Amazon Basin and this. I think this one was limited to about 5,000 cigars.
Okay.
That's all they could pull out of this tobacco. Tut first.
Ah, shit. I should have stayed sober for this part.
Doctor,
I'll go 950.
Doctor, you first. You've heard us describe it. You know that it's limited. You know what the process involved is going into this to replicate the Yagua methods of time-consuming aging tobacco for 2 years. We've been smoking this for 2 hours now. Well, give me a price point.
Go 1050, Doc. Go 1050. I'm sticking with 950.
Whoa, I was going to shoot high.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was thinking this was going to cost a pretty penny.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
I'm going to go 1350.
1350. Tut your neck.
950. I'm going Frank.
You cynical bastard.
Yak boy.
I'm gonna have to go right in between them. I'm gonna go 11.
Okay. Well, by Price is Right standards, Tut would win $10.99.
Woo!
That's not a bad price for the cigar at all.
Wait a second. I am literally a penny away.
Yeah, but you went over.
A penny.
Suck it, Yaks.
These aren't my rules.
When we go to somebody else's goddamn mini bar.
Send Yaks lax.
$10 is not a bad price for what I've experienced tonight.
$10, no.
No, absolutely not. This
was an interesting smoke, and the Amazon Basin was too. I like what
I like the Amazon Basin that had the little thing wrapped around it.
Yeah, they wrapped the
that was really good.
This one had the impossible to remove, very decorative band from it.
It was interesting. Mine came right off. Nice little pigtail, little wrap deal, just came scrolling right off. I would be interested to know the cost points on the special production, because I definitely have priced my own products and I know the difficulty involved. I would like to know what that input into this was, and I'd really like to know and learn more about the process as to just what tweaks that process does to the tobacco.
Well, I mean, it's a completely different form of aging as opposed to piling it on. Yaks, you and I saw it at Drew Estate. Those huge polones.
Well, it's kind of like Perique. You know what that Perique process does.
Yes, and that's costly. That's costly.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for those steps, those men involved in doing that. This wrapping it in those leaves and doing all that, I mean, it's a very different than the industry norm. So man, 10.99 for this experience, and that this unique, just all-encompassing mineral through the nose and the mouth with some nice earthiness, some breadiness. Yak's got some chocolate, pepper from the first third. I got it again the last third. I'm giving the cigar a thumbs up. I like it.
I am too. I am not. I'm a little hesitant on that price point, if I'm absolutely honest. But only because there's things that I recognize that I want in a cigar, but I know that my palate's different than everybody else's.
Sure.
10 might be a little bit high, but it's not that much high. It's not that high to me.
Okay. Well, please remember, folks, on the YouTubes and listening to us on the iTunes and wherever you're finding us, when purchasing some fine CAO cigars or other brands from FamousSmokeShop.com, use your new favorite promo code TNCC20 at checkout, where it'll knock $20 off your purchase of $100 or more. Buy a box of these things, find out for yourself, and you'll save $20. And guys, I know I said I was going to get so drunk I wouldn't remember, and we've never done this before. I am now going to go back to Rick Rodriguez's tasting notes, the guy who made this cigar.
He said we're not supposed to taste any of the stuff we described tonight.
And I'm going to compare it to what we had. Here it goes. Look at me.
Do it. Look at you, professional.
Well, no, I'm actually disappointed I'm not more drunk by now. CAO Mortal Coil has a deep aroma. It had a great aroma that brings forth pre-light notes of sweetness and spice. I got the sweetness. I didn't get the spice pre-light. Full flavored. I put it medium full, not quite full. Medium body.
Yeah.
Medium bodied. I give it that. Cigar opens up to reveal nuttiness. None of us ever got nuttiness. Well, I got nuttiness from you, Ted. And a creamy, earthy sweetness.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the creaminess, but I got the earth.
We got the earth, and we were begging for that sweetness that was there in the early goings, and it never kind of developed, but we got the earth.
Yak's got it with the sweet chocolate.
Oh, you did get the sweet chocolate. All right. One out of three ain't bad. Isn't that a Meatloaf song?
Sounds like it. Most overrated singer. I'm sorry, okay. Meatloaf. I'm sorry.
Man, Tut does not like Meatloaf.
I like him in Rocky Horror Picture Show just fine.
Okay.
Oh, and Black Dog. I thought he was fine in that movie too.
Oh, anybody who has a problem with anything in Black Dog, you got a problem with me.
Oh, I wanted to tell you guys a story. I went to FamousSmokeShop.com. I went to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club website. I clicked on the Famous Smoke Shop banner, and because of our interview with the girl from Macanudo, and Laurel, thank you, Laurel from Macanudo. I was so impressed with our green label. That I bought the green label Macanudo, a little 5-pack. Man, that thing is for the price point on that cigar, it's bananas. It delivers at that price point.
Yeah, you probably got a 5-pack for what, 20, low 30s?
I can't remember what I got, but I actually did your pro tip. I bought the 5-pack there, then I went over to Monster, and they were having a sale on the Southern Draw Cedrus, and I picked up some of that, and boom, no shipping.
Well done, sir. Well done. Okay. And if you're not going to Cigar Monster to get the free shipping, just pick out a fiber, whatever looks sexy to you, and you'll get free shipping. Throw on promo code TNC20, and you can get the whole thing at a giant discount. I'm going to light up another cigar here, and let's finish this movie out. So that night, they shack up together in Frank's room after a mutual shower. They kick back on the bed, and Lindsay raids the minibar, much to Frank's chagrin. She raises her wine glass. Here's to, please. Dude, She wants to make some. They had sex. They've been through some shit. Here's two. Please. Just shuts her down. Frank says,
I kind of feel like this, and it's bad for me to admit it, but
dude, she wanted to make a
I'm intoxicated enough now. You guys give outstanding toasts. Y'all have always, every toast that I've heard you guys from Cody to you to Cody's brother Ryan, y'all make these just epic toasts, and every time I'm just like, please.
So that toast you asked me to make at your wedding.
It was a very fun. It was a very fine toast. It was a very fine toast.
You were just sitting there.
When Tut asked me to give a toast, turn him down.
I wish we had done this show several years ago. I didn't put a lot of. I always do. I never put any prep into my toast, but I thought it was well received by the room.
It was actually very well received.
I thought Tut appreciated it, but now
Now if Tut ever gives a toast in your honor, when he's done, you can just stop for a second and go, are you expecting some sort of response?
Jeez.
Oh, I'm so using that line from now on in my life.
Dude, Tut just shit all over my wedding toast. I was the only fucker that got up there and said something.
My dad did.
How'd that go over?
Very, very sentimentally.
I was drunk. I don't remember. She was trying to make a meaningful toast. Please. But they spend the next few minutes legitimately complimenting each other. When Lindsay says, hey, you said I was sexy back there. What do you find attractive about me? He actually rattles off a laundry list of traits that he finds alluring. It's well thought out, and there's not a tinge for once of snarkiness in his response. Well, except he continuously busts on her enormously thick flannel pajamas she's wearing. I've seen people joust wearing less.
Oh my God, that was a good one.
She's like, look, I wasn't planning on getting intimate this weekend or ever again. She's wearing these giant clunky pajamas.
I'm not wearing any panties. Why not? Why? There's no need. The pajamas are alluring enough.
But dude, he actually...
I'm sorry, but Winona is the type of person who can make that look sexy.
And she does.
Yeah, I dig her, man. Absolutely.
He does. And he honestly gives her this 5-minute thing on why she's sexy, from her ankles to her cheekbones. He actually coined this term, the flaps of Aphrodite or something.
Folds of Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
Of Aphrodite. And she's like, I've never even heard that term. He's like, I coined it. It was never expressed before, and it statistically it holds up. But dude, he really compliments the hell out of her in this scene with no sarcasm whatsoever. Lindsay then returns the favor. She compliments everything from his eyes to his hair. You're obviously not going to have to worry about your hair, she says. His strong physique. He is John Wick. His classy way of dressing. You have really good shoes. And even his perfectly straight, balletically formed penis. You won't believe how many guys have crooked penises. Are you telling me my brother Keith has a crooked penis? The way he said that was funny. Of course, the conversation then reverts back to Frank's total contempt for mankind, how he wants to vomit whenever he sees a couple kissing or having sex. Lindsay reminds him, you almost vomited when we had sex. He says there's nothing beautiful or transcendent about being human. Just watch someone eat or put up a mirror and watch yourself take a shit. It's disgusting.
I actually kind of think that way with the whole eating thing.
Ultimately, he says the whole thing, being a person, is filthy business. They talk, they make fun of each other a little more, they scrutinize and shout the characters on the TV. But when Lindsay starts questioning Frank more and more on his thoughts on children and his relationships with his family, Frank's spidey senses start tingling. She admits, I'm examining your qualifications as far as being an ongoing love interest. And when he shoots that down, she's like, all right, a tolerance interest? Like, can we do anything here? And he sternly says he has none. I have none of those characteristics, and neither do you. Lindsay tries to convince him there might be a chance for the two of them. Maybe they saved each other. What if the real destination wasn't the destination wedding, but each other? What if you never say that again? A perturbed Frank responds. As much as she stresses that human connections are both precious and necessary, Frank declares they're both doomed forever, and that's that. She finally gives up. She tells Frank, "You're fucking up by letting me leave." But when she gets up to leave, despite himself, he finds himself talking her back into bed to finish the TV show they're watching. I love how in any other rom-com, this conversation would have been handled really heavy, and you would have seen the hope and dreams fading away painfully from the female character as she's shot down over and over again. But we don't get any of that here, mainly because Lindsay is indeed nuts, and Winona plays her nuts. It's kept light. Their strongly held beliefs are so dark, but it's still kept light. For a movie with so much dialogue, as we said, not all 100% works or is delivered 100% naturally, but so much of it does work that I walked away impressed as hell by both the unique screenplay and these two master actors bringing it to life. And I'll say this, I'm going to give a little bit of credit. The constant presence of the lighthearted score really lubes up the flow of conversation in every scene. I dug it. It kind of reminded me of that Randy Newman Toy Story, A Friend in Me, like that simple little thing. But
I was thinking a little bit more of a watered down Woody Allen type to where it was constantly in the background, but it wasn't forbearing. I really appreciated it.
But even when they're talking about this dark, deep, humorless shit in their guts, the music is this lighthearted kind of Randy Newman Pixar kind of. Yeah,
it's not a heavy emphasis like, oh, we need the score to match their personality, so we need the score to go dark, and we need to.
It's the opposite.
We need something
we need a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I can't stress enough how talented these actors are, because for me in this bedroom scene specifically, there was a good stretch that missed for me. But
they talk for 10 minutes, and a lot of it is extraneous. And Doctor, I think we kind of go into some Kevin Smith stuff where like nobody really talks like this.
And that was exactly my thought, is that I'm sitting there watching this and I'm going, nobody does this. This is like, again, this is the writer showing how the writer does.
I'm watching the screenwriter through the actors.
Right, but these actors are so damn good that even despite my criticism, even despite me breaking out of that, I'm just bought in. I'm sold on these guys, and I'm wanting to see how they deliver this stuff. And they deliver it so fucking professionally accurate. It's just...
And I have this weird thing in me where even when they're talking about this stuff that doesn't necessarily hit home runs with me dialogue-wise, I'm watching Keanu Reeves eating a can of Pringles, and that fascinates me. I love seeing this dude do shit that I do. Like, you could film Keanu Reeves eating a Little Caesars pizza, and I would watch it. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
No, because all I can think about now is Keanu Reeves actually walking into a Little Caesars Pizza. Like,
that's a movie.
The $5 deal. That's what I'm getting.
I found it neither hot nor ready.
It's hot and ready. Is it good? It's hot and ready.
I guess extra most asbestos is subjective.
Now you're getting into a little Principal McCullough there.
I'm still good.
All right. Well, the next morning, after a long night of Frank snoring and hawking up phlegm, Lindsay wakes up to find herself upside down, half hanging off the bed. How did I end up in this position? She mutters. You've made some poor life choices. No, I mean, how am I in this position hanging up the bed?
Oh, I loved it.
After Frank once again reiterates that there's no future for the two of them, they both clean up in their respective rooms. No mutual showering, singing Danny Boy anymore. And they head down to the quote-unquote farewell brunch. That's on the itinerary, the farewell brunch. A brunch in which they don't even bother saying farewell to anybody because nobody even cared they were there this whole weekend. So they just head to the airport 5 hours early, but not before Sticky Fingers Frank steals 3 of the farewell thank you bags on his way out. He loves free shit. One for him, one for her, and a bonus.
The bonus.
He actually comes back for the bonus one. I love that. On the car ride to the airport, they make fun of the city of San Luis Obispo. Did I say that right?
You did.
And its lack of urban planning along the way. Lindsay says that on the off chance that she ever has a wedding, she would never make people travel to it. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about that, he says. Which, of course, is a natural mean response for him. But for the first time in the entire movie, they both look at each other after he says that, and they share a little laugh. And then he says, because you're a decent person, not because you won't get married. And this makes Lindsay smile. It's the first nice thing he said in the entire fucking movie. Well, it was mean, but he countered it with something real.
Well, he's still being him. Like, just
one
No.
love.
No.
terrible. Just terrible.
In the tiny plane on the way home, Lindsay's getting drunk on many bottles of wine, me style, and questioning the meaning of life once again. But Frank has had his fill for the weekend. Jesus Christ, I enjoyed the silence. She goes on and on about some really heavy philosophical ideas as he just turns his attention to the mini wine bottle in his hand and shares his disdain for screw tops as opposed to a corkscrew on a wine bottle. And it totally works because, get this, just like Frank, after all this dialogue in this plane ride, I tuned her out. I'd heard enough of Lindsay at this point, and I'm with Frank. He's just studying this fucking wine bottle and he doesn't give a shit. But speaking of that wine bottle, when the plane hits turbulence, I laughed at this shit. It spills red wine all over his lap, which makes her laugh. It pisses him the fuck off. But dude, I thought it was a nice little physical comedy moment. She brings up the possibility of them falling in love one last time. This could be a miracle happening to them. And he corrects her. What happened between them this weekend wasn't a miracle. It was a debacle. She goes on, for two people like them to find each other is truly miraculous, and he needs to embrace it. Frank says, it wasn't miraculous. It was debaculous. And dude, that's when it hit me. If we ever rename this podcast, it's the Debaculous podcast.
It
Dude,
fits.
we are debaculous. And that's not a word. I looked it up. That word does not exist.
No.
We are the debaculous.
It exists now, doesn't it?
Instead of the corner of no hope, the debaculous corner.
We got to use it. It's a great non-word. He pleads with her, just stop. He takes comfort in his never-ending cynicism. He likes living in his warm blanket of shit. But of course she doesn't stop, so he starts making that loud hawking noise. She just wants to keep talking about the potential of love. When they land, Frank and Lindsay share a short goodbye and an awkward hug before she gets in the cab. I know what you're going to say, Lindsay says. It's not you, it's me. No, it's you. Frank says, and they both smile. Frank puts his hand on his heart, and dude, this is something only Keanu could do. He puts his hand on his heart, and he kind of bows to her before she gets in the cab. It's such a weird gesture.
It's the chivalrous gesture.
No, it is.
She's wanted.
It is, but from Keanu, it seemed real. And
I think that's the whole point, and that was the whole the reason why I liked it is that they were true and the writers were true to these characters all the way through. That when you see the growth of the characters, you're not seeing the metamorphosis of into like this loving butterfly, but you're seeing a growth of these just ultra cynical beatdown characters to at least a little something positive. That was Frank. That was Frank.
There was, but I thought any other actor, I pictured other actors, Ben Stiller or, Owen Wilson in that moment doing that little bow, and it wouldn't have had the weight. Keanu gives it a little bit of weight to it.
I think the reason why there's weight to it, I disagree. I think the other actors could pull that off, but only if they were able to deliver through the entire movie what Keanu delivered, and I don't think that they could. They would put the charm in there. They would put the funny in there.
You would have never believed that those other characters were cynical from the get-go.
Yeah, no, they don't have they don't have that unique gravitas to nail that role. And I think Tut's right. He earned that bow from what he's done in the last hour and 20 minutes. But it felt so
real.
Right.
Yeah.
Real, but simple. Like he's not gonna tell her. He's not gonna tell her she's great. He's not gonna tell her she's special. It's just something about that simple gesture by him meant a lot. It meant
everything. It meant everything.
It did. She looks at him and she says, after he does that gesture, which we just built up that much, Frank, why didn't we meet 7 years ago? Just lucky, I guess.
Oh, Frank!
Every line is straight to character. I love that.
Interestingly, he scolds Lindsay when she gets in the cab. She tells the driver her actual address, and he's like, "You never do that. It's safe, Don't trust anyone." He says for safety reasons, not because he cares about her safety necessarily, or does he? As the cab drives off, Lindsay extends once again her middle finger out the door at Frank, and he grins. He appreciates. That's the one thing he can appreciate is that fucking finger. Real quick, should the story have ended right there? The majority of the film is about loss, pain, and a general inability to participate in life. Its alternate title was actually Tuesday Night Cigar Club, the movie. Now, whether the filmmaker succeeded in creating an ending where the movie becomes a celebration of choosing to live over giving up on life will be the judge of in a minute, but I just want to talk to you. Should the movie have ended there with her sticking that finger out of the movie? I think so.
That would have been awesome.
If they cut to black after she drives off and he kind of smiles at that middle finger in there, that would have been the perfect ending in this movie.
Can I give you my ending?
Sure.
So basically in the plane ride, when the turbulence strikes, I really wanted to see Keanu kind of meet halfway. All right, maybe there's something to explore here. And then the plane crash. And that would have been the end of the movie, because that is the whole absurdity of humanity. That is everything that he's been preaching the entire movie.
You are more nihilistic than me. I never even considered that, and I'm like the most downtrodden son of a bitch in the world. That's brilliant.
Just took it to a whole new level.
Dude, that is brilliant.
I wanted to see death.
My wife just looked at me and goes, "God, you're dark sometimes."
Yes. Forget the middle finger. I would have liked their plane going down and they both stick their middle fingers out of the plane as it crashes into the sea. That's a perfect ending.
All I would have actually wanted to see is you would see like the plane like, and then you'd see Keanu's character, typical.
That's it. All right. Well, that's that's not where the movie ends. But I'm with Tut. A plane crash. I would have added the mutual middle fingers out of the plane. But yes, that would have been really awesome. Doctor, you don't like that ending at all. You like the ending we get, don't you?
I actually do.
There's hope. We join Frank as he sits on his bed at home watching TV as he sorts through all the free shit he brought home in his suitcase. Slippers, you name it. Everything he could grab, he grabbed. He dumps out the contents of the farewell thank you bag, and it's a bunch of lotions and oils. And I, at least, got the impression as he was staring at them, as only Keanu can, he really wanted to make fun of all this shit, but he no longer had anyone to make fun of it with. He's gotten spoiled over the last 3 days. Someone has been there to listen to his rants. And he's officially crazy if he sits in his bedroom and rants to himself. These fucking oils. I mean, dude, he doesn't have an audience anymore. He doesn't have a partner anymore. We then cut across town. Oh, but then he looks in his suitcase and sees the chocolate bar, the same exact chocolate bar that cost him God knows what from the mini bar that he shared with Lindsay, and he takes pause.
No.
One love, just like my beer.
No.
Over at Lindsay's house, she's now wearing yet another thick pair of flannel pajamas. Superman couldn't even see through those things. And she's gone back to breathing life into her dying plant. The doorbell rings and she hears the familiar throat clearing hawking sounds of Frank from the other side door. She opens the door and it's Frank, and he says nothing. He only offers a very slightly non-committal shrug of the shoulders. It's actually, I'm not doing justice here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I kind of did a fake. It's so subtle. It's just like literally his shoulders just go up a half inch. He doesn't give any kind of like look like, hey, let's do this. His face says nothing, but that's enough for her for now. Her face kind of warms. She opens the door. We cut to black. The end.
If this were a play, if they had actually produced this as a play and I were in the audience, I would be on my feet clapping.
Should this dialogue-heavy script have been done as a play as opposed to a film? It's funny you mentioned that, Tut. Director Victor Levin says that there should not be a hard, fast rule about what qualifies a movie and what does not. Here's what he said, because I thought the same thing. Two people talking the whole thing. It's not very cinematic as far as camera movements.
Oh, fuck that noise.
It seems like a play. He said this. I'm not one of those people who believes that if something is dialogue heavy, it should be a play. And if it's action heavy, it should be a movie. He added, I don't like to work that way. I love the movies. I love the idea of getting something exactly the way you want it and cutting it together exactly at the pace that it wants to run and choosing the performances and showing it to people in a form that doesn't depend on the vagaries of the moment, what happens during the performance that night. I respect the hell out of that.
I absolutely
you know that there was 5 takes of Keanu screwing Winona. You knew there was 5 takes of him saying, of them meeting the parents and coming back to that table and being like, that Great Depression line, which I think is the best line in the whole thing. Like, was your mother born in the Great Depression? No, she caused it. You know, he said that 5 different ways. You know, he did that shrug in the doorway 10 different ways. That deserves a movie. You can never do that on stage. You can do it on stage, and 20 nights on stage will be 20 different things, depending on the elements.
I think
this should be a movie. It was a movie, and I'm glad it was a movie.
I think that both mediums deserve credit. That this project could survive in both mediums. I'm not saying that this should be a play. I'm not saying that this should be a movie. I just, when I think of it, I do think of a play. But I'm just as happy with the movie as well.
I think you have to change the wording too. For me, it's not, it should have been a play because it's a great movie. I think just the way it was, it could have been a play.
Right. It's not, that's exactly, I totally 100% back that. It's not a should have type thing. It's a could have type thing.
Like, I thought The Hateful Eight could have almost been a play because it
almost was a play. Yeah, it almost was a play, actually.
I mean, it's not, I don't, but it's a fucking fantastic fucking movie. So, I mean, this is a great movie. But it could have been a play the way that it's conceived. It just could have been. It works 100% as a movie.
Well, I'm going to give.
I just want to say one other thing real quick.
Yeah.
The movie is not going to end with a fucking plane crash, Tut and Cade. You guys should be incarcerated for that. If it ended with her giving the finger and he just kind of smiles as she drives off, there's still some ambiguity. That's the only part where they, by a tiny percentage, delve into a rom-com bit, is when she mentions her address to the cab driver. You absolutely know 100% that he's showing up there.
Exactly.
So, but it would, if she had the finger and he just kind of smiled, that was it. That would have been an okay ending. But that he shows up, you know he's going to when she says her address, because you know he's going to then. And I still think it still beats any kind of romantic comedy because he's fucked up, she's fucked up, and all he's doing is showing up there not ready to call this thing over yet.
Oh, by no means is this going to work.
God, I love that little shrug, man. That little shrug.
In a Hallmark movie, this thing ends with them getting married. It doesn't end that way. In a romantic comedy, they end up totally in love and happy. It doesn't end that way. It's ambiguous. So I like that it ended the way that it did. It doesn't mean that anything positive is ever happening.
I am completely 100% okay with the ending. I would have loved to see the other takes of what Keanu did at that door, because the take he picked was perfect. Because, dude, the shrug he gives is so subtle. He does nothing with his face. It's all in the shoulders. It's just kind of like, I'm here. But it's like, it's so subtle, but that's exactly the only way you could make that work after all this time with these characters. I'm with you, Doctor. The plane crash that Todd suggested is entirely ridiculous.
It is not, depending on how nihilistic these two characters are.
I was totally on. I was totally on board with her driving away, giving him the finger out of the car.
That would have worked.
But if you're gonna do a happy ending on this very unhappy story, I loved ending it with a shrug. Because God knows how many fucking situations has the Tuesday Night Cigar Club just ended with a shrug.
But his shrug wasn't. It was like,
it was.
I'm trying.
I didn't even notice the shrug.
Oh God, it was good.
I didn't even notice it. It ends with him standing at the door, and she kind of looks at him, and it's like,
dude, he's a master.
Together, they're gonna get married and be happy. No.
Dude, he's a master. He does it with his eyes and his shoulders.
It was literally, I'm doing the best I can. Let's try this.
And it's a beautiful.
As we've said over and over again, this entire movie works because of those two, and that's it. You could have had the exact same screenplay, every same scene shot the exact same way, every line of dialogue. And I don't care, Cade, you've named them all. You've named the rogues gallery of men and women.
I can't think of anyone who
wouldn't matter if it's anybody other than these two. The concept is brilliant, of it just being the two of them talking. That entire concept is brilliant, but every scene shot the same way, every line of dialogue the same way, every decision the same way. You pick any two living actors on the planet, and it doesn't work the way that it
doesn't. It honestly, it's a symbiotic thing with her and him, because you could put Matt Damon with Winona Ryder. You could put Zach Galifianakis with Winona Ryder. You could put Keanu Reeves with Reese Witherspoon, or Keanu Reeves with Katherine Heigl, or whatever. This movie is one of those rare things where it only works because of what they got.
And it's interesting, and maybe it's because of my undervalue of Keanu, that I think that if done right, if there was an actor who could deliver sort of what Keanu does, I think that you might be able to get away with like maybe one or two other leading men. You can't do this without Winona Ryder. You can't. There's not an actress out there that I think can pull this off.
I
Her
feel
natural tendencies, I said it in the beginning of the show, her natural tendencies, her natural quirks, which you see a lot on Stranger Things. But
see, I don't like her in Stranger Things because she's always over the top. There's no.
She reins them in a great deal here.
Yeah,
but she seems like a living, breathing weirdo in her own skin in this movie, and it seems like a real alive persona of this character, and it's not. We're some characters that's who they always are.
yeah. God, man, these two actors breathe life into these characters. Like
they were fantastic.
I can't think. I just can't think of it. Even when I say that maybe there's another actor that can go into Keanu's role, I can't think of them. I mean, if I'm hard pressed and you're like, Tut, okay, if you think that somebody can name them, I can't.
All right, we've turned Tut into a Keanu fan tonight.
No, Keanu turned me into Keanu fan.
No, I turned you into a Keanu fan because it made you watch this fucking movie.
Keanu did.
I'll also say this too. After I'm with Cade, we've been Keanu Reeves fans forever. I was sitting here thinking how I'm a huge Stranger Things fan, and I really enjoy Winona Ryder and Stranger Things. But I started thinking like, man, other than Heathers, which is a over 30-year-old movie from 1989 where she was great in it, I'm like, what else have I ever seen her in between that and Stranger Things?
Yeah,
Mr. Deeds.
Yax,
what have I seen her in between?
Yax, you came to my house the other day to pick up some cigars after you watched this movie, and you thanked me for being brilliant enough to bring this movie to the podcast. And you're basically on your knees, like,
why did you do this, Yax? Why?
You're like, thank you.
I was never on my knees.
But you said something interesting, which I can't comment on, but maybe these guys can. You thought that this character reminded you of her character from Beetlejuice grown up.
I did. That's
a great point.
And I've never seen Beetlejuice, so I couldn't comment on that.
That dark teenager who was, even in Beetlejuice, she was wanting to be goth, but she wasn't. There was always the element of hope, even in that character. Because even at the end, she's quote unquote, she's a well-adjusted or becoming a well-adjusted teenager. And that same instance here where she is just bitter and cynical, but you can see within her character that she wants that hope.
See,
she's looking for it.
I thought that was a great point, Yax.
The movies that she was in that I know I saw 30 years ago and have no memory of. Like I saw Beetlejuice, but right after it was available on videotape, I don't remember it. I'm a big Johnny Depp, Tim Burton fan. I barely remember Edward Scissorhands. I barely remember Bram Stoker's Dracula, which also had Keanu.
Beetlejuice
I was a big Winona fan. That girl hung the moon, and
I have watched Beetlejuice.
You're ahead of my Winona game. I have literally, I'm racking my brain here. I have literally only seen her in Heathers. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. But for me, if you've seen a movie once 30 years ago, you've got no memory of it. When she showed up on Stranger Things, I was like, wow, that's Winona Ryder. And goddamn, she's really still fucking cute. And I was like, man, what have I seen her in besides Heathers that I have any memory of? And I was like, nothing.
Well, she was big coming up, and then she had her little klepto display, and then Hollywood said she was persona non grata for a while.
Well, I was waiting for somebody to bring up that. Good job, Todd.
Hey, Christ, if that's the worst thing that a Hollywood actor's done, I think that's...
Actually, if you go to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club website and you look up my byline and my profile, it says...
Todd has stolen several cigars from tobacco shops across the country.
It's like, why are you with Tuesday Night Cigar Club? And I was like, hey, I used to date Winona Ryder. I needed the money.
I'm going to redirect and say that... we've just talked about everything these two do works for us. Her kookiness worked for me. And considering that if this movie was shot 3 years ago, I know there's like an entire, I've never seen it, but I've heard about it. I know there's like websites devoted to the fact that Keanu Reeves does not age. She looks fantastic. She's pushing 50. She looks great.
You know, I will say this, as far as Keanu goes, I will say this. It is a romantic, somewhat movie. The one thing I agreed with my significant other on was when you have one of those beards that spikes up,
Come on, man.
just trim it to a normal beard for the movie. Because especially what his job was, marketing manager at the
JD Power and Associates.
JD Powers Associates.
You're supposed to be slick.
He had the Keanu I don't give a shit beard, which it goes up into that like werewolf territory. And it's like, dude,
Yeah, that's not marketing beard right there.
just maybe for this movie, just trim it to a normal beard. That would have been nice. And I totally agree with that. It's like, that's kind of weird. But we're nicking pits now at this stage. We obviously loved
Everything
well,
about it. I'm not saying this was a perfect movie, but this was like a 96%.
it was damn near, dude,
96,
damn near
98%.
perfect. Yeah, Todd, it was damn near perfect.
Yeah.
It amazingly, in that it's dialogue driven and it's just the two of them, and they hour and 26 minutes long, so about an hour and 20 before end credits. But in the hands of lesser actors, you would have been bored after 15 minutes. Unbelievably, there's a perfect thing here where when this movie ends, you actually want more. And because they leave you wanting a little more, that makes it perfect too.
And I think that it's cool that you want these people to be happy. You want these people to find each other. It's
Well, no,
and I think that it's not only just the actors.
They won't be happy, but
They'll be happy with their unhappiness.
But they can continue to bitch about everything and be miserable together.
And they're happy in their own miserable way.
All these stupid romantic comedies where we found the one and we found the guy, they actually found the one human in the world who can listen to their bullshit and fire back with their bullshit and be just as miserable as them. It's the ultimate antithesis of the romantic comedy, because they are literally the only people on earth who could live together and be happy together.
I think a friend of mine wisely said, the secret to a happy marriage is making sure that you find someone who's the same whose crazy matches your crazy. And I think that's where they found each other. Their crazies match each other.
I'm with Doc. I want to see my beautiful sequel would be she got knocked up and they have to raise a kid, because that would be
I don't want to see a sequel
that
to
would
this.
be the most insane sequel ever, them raising a kid together.
Dude, this is damn near perfect. Don't do a sequel. Don't mess it up. Just let this exist in its wonderful glory.
Agreed. Well, I'm glad we did this film. I had a feeling it would be special. And honestly, boys, this conversation night has been special. So thank you for joining me. And thank you folks at home for joining us. Well, shit. I'm going to kick it over to Tut. Give us some links.
Okay, let's see if I can sober up and get through these.
You've had wine, you've had beer, you can do this.
All right, so if you're going to hit us up on Twitter, you can go to @TNCCcast. If you're going to join us on Facebook, you can find us under Tuesday Night Cigar Club. If you're going to go over to Instagram, which I highly suggest you, because there's nice little traffic kicking in there because of all of our little stories. Kate's doing a wonderful job on the whole Insta Stories thing. You can join us at @TNCC_podcast. And then if you want to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us at Tuesday Night Cigar Club there. Now, here's the really cool part. if you go to TuesdayNightCigarClub.com and you see that famous smoke shop banner and you're wanting to buy some of the cigars that you hear on the podcast, click that banner. It'll automatically enter the promo code TNCC20. It'll knock $20 off of a order over $100. That saves you big time. While you're doing that, jump over to Cigar Monster, pick you something there, get you some free shipping. You're going to save oodles, and that's about like the best pro level game that you can have in the cigar market to do all that crap. All right. Now, if you wanted to buy something for Mother's Day that's coming up, you can go to TuesdayNightCigarClub.com, click on the Amazon banner, and then do your shopping from there. Buy your mom something. It's a month out. It's,
6 weeks.
Be a freaking adult and get ahead of the game for once in your life. Do your shopping from Amazon. Buy your mother something. It helps us keep the lights on. Not that it matters anymore.
I have this feeling that Keanu Reeves' performance of Frank has all affected us very deeply and is going to change the way we do things.
I believe you're right.
Myself, who were doing those things already.
Doctor, was your mother born during the Great Depression?
Hey, I'm not going there with my mom, buddy.
That was a trap. You avoided it. That's good. Okay. Man, you know what? I knew this was a gamble. And as Cody said, as Yak Boy said, when I sent you guys this film, he waited a few hours to see if I was catfishing you and would send you the real film that we were actually doing. But no, he's like, oh shit, we're actually doing this film. I find that when I do that, it tends to lead to good things. And I thought we had a really good discussion tonight.
I enjoyed it.
And I thought we all watched a movie that we would maybe normally not watch. And God damn it, it was good. It was damn good.
I'm glad you put me in a position to watch it.
You're welcome, Tut. You're welcome. So as I take a puff on this final cigar, we got, hey, 3 thumbs up on the cigar night. It was a good cigar. I think we all enjoyed our beers.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then all that's left is to say, may the wings of liberty never lose a feather. Sayonara, motherfuckers. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll do it even better than tonight. Maybe, I don't know. Tonight was pretty good. We'll top it. We'll top it. See you next time. Bye.
To learn more about the time I attended a destination wedding at Lake Titicaca, you can read my travel blog titled, What? Oh, real mature, you ass wipes. Go on and laugh it up. It's the real name of a real lake in South America. I didn't make it up, I swear. If I was going to cook up a story about a fictional lake, I'd give it a lot cooler name than Titicaca. Like Lake Booby Poo Poo, or maybe Lake Low Hanging Ding Dongs. That second one is for the ladies out there, because unlike you pendejos, CAO is always looking out for the ladies. You're welcome, sweet mamas. I'll catch you later this summer at Lake Swollen Balls. And I'll bring the coleslaw. In the meantime, you can learn more about the cigars enjoyed on tonight's episode by visiting caocigars.com. For more on O'Brien's Irish Pub, the live music leader in Central Texas, please visit o'brienstemple.com and download their free smartphone app, where you'll find full beer listings including over 40 on tap, menu information, and a calendar of upcoming live events. To listen and purchase music heard on tonight's program, check out www.fritzbeermusic.com. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. This is Keith A. Howell saying until next time, friends, unless we see you sooner at the pub. So keep it smoky, and for God's sake, keep it ballsy as well.